Hello and welcome to the Con Couple. I'm Richard.
I'm buried in so many layers of foof.
Yes, you are. And your name is?
Caroline, not Christine.
We go to a frankly baffling number of cons every year.
I would say we go to too few conventions. I remember my line this week.
Yes, you did. So, we're going to do a little bit of explanation before we start talking about the con at this one.
Yeah, well, first off, because this con takes place in Columbus, it's been a while since we've gone to con on Columbus, but it's actually close enough to our house, as we're about to record these podcasts in our cars, that we have to do this in multiple takes because an hour is just a normal podcast length episode. We don't do that.
We don't do that. We'll need at least two.
Yep.
So, this is being recorded on Saturday night. The convention goes until Sunday.
And we would ordinarily, because this convention goes for the stuff we were running Thursday through Sunday, we would have broken this up on Friday night. We were a bit distracted last night.
Yes. So, anybody who listened to the episode on TrotCon would know that a giant branch fell off a tree in our yard and took out our power line during that convention. It goddamn happened again, people.
This time with 3 trees.
Yeah, because we got the landlords to cut that tree down. This time, trees from the neighbor's yard decided they wanted to be across our driveway. So yeah, in case anybody, and then we realized it was Friday the 13th, which just explained everything. So yeah,
It
if
was
you're
also
in Ohio,
there was a massive windstorm that day. Also, the middle school roof in our town blew off. So
technically it was the intermediate school. And
Yeah.
no, I don't know why we have one of those in addition to a middle school, an elementary school, and a high school.
I think probably because our town used to spend money on that instead of spending money buying more police cars we don't need.
Oh yeah.
Seriously, they get like 200 calls a month, and it's like 2 felonies, or it's 1 felony maybe every 3 months, and then it's like 2 misdemeanors. Why do we need this many police cars?
Let's get back on track, shall we?
We were already off track because this isn't even about a con. This is about trees and okay.
This is relevant.
Okay.
So yeah, so we ended up having to hoof it home last night when we found out about it because we were a wee bit worried about the pets. So the pets are fine. Weirdly, the power was already back on because it didn't actually take out the line this time. But again, like half the town doesn't have power, so it's been a fun time.
It was a bit of an unpleasant tree, and we are taking kind of more of a branching pathway with this episode.
Oh no! No, bad. Stop it.
Didn't you also have to catch a bird when we got home?
Yes, while getting you inside because our front door's accessible to me, but not to you.
Yep.
Because again, you are as always in giant ball gowns.
Yeah. And with my disability, I don't actually know that it would be easy to get through in normal clothes. Also, keep in mind, most of my normal clothes are also kind of sort of just more mild
dresses.
Forms of ball gown. Yeah.
Fancy dresses.
Yep.
Of one type or another. Like that's just how you prefer to dress. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But yeah. So, in order to get you in and out of the bubble, we're basically having to walk you all the way around the house to get to the rear door.
Yeah, and I think rather than paying anyone, our landlord is trying to come by tomorrow with a truck and a chainsaw to see what he can get down. I don't know why he thinks he's capable of doing this, I'm going to be honest.
Well, he tried it last time and it didn't work. I'm sure it'll work this time when it's an actual full tree. Like 2 trees, actually. So, yeah. Anywho. So yeah, so that was a fun way to head home last evening, having a panic attack, hoping our pets hadn't been hurt.
Yeah, everyone was thankfully fine.
Yep.
And like the GM, that we'll probably talk when we get to that point in the game, which was, the GM was obviously very understanding because we had pictures of just like, yeah, this just happened. We kind of need to go to make sure our house and family are okay.
So yeah. So we will talk about how that game ended when we get to that point, but yeah. Where the heck have we been this week, honey?
Buckeye GameFest.
Yes.
So if you're a long-term listener of the podcast, you might remember this was in May last year. This year, it was in March. I don't know entirely why they moved it up.
I'm assuming it's probably hotel availability.
Probably a little bit of that.
Maybe it was.
It might have also just originally been in March and they moved it to May. I will say that we do, because of the size of this con and just also the directness of the people who work there, we have found out stuff about what their plans are this weekend just by talking to people. Also, if our voices sound a little bit croaky, we're still both recovering from colds.
Yep.
You now got my cold from last week,
And then
and
you seem to be getting it back off me.
yeah, it's a delightful time.
Sorry about that.
So this con is a bit of an interesting one in that it has a couple of different start dates, and it's also interesting insofar as like I know for a fact that they listened to this podcast last year and took some of our suggestions, which is kind of interesting and awesome to see in action.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think they
thank you for that. If you listen again,
like for instance, one of the things they attempted to do was have different types of RPGs in different spaces. So people who are playing Kobolds and people who are playing quieter RPGs weren't in the same room together, which is a pretty cool thing for a con of this size to be able to do.
Yeah, great idea.
Kobolds didn't wind up running this year, so it was a little bit easier for them, but they had a plan for that, which is just kind of awesome.
That's really smart. And yeah, one of the issues we had last year was just the RPG room had several other things going on at the same time, so it got a little noisy and a little crosstalky at a few points. This year, RPGs are in a dedicated room. We have been at Taft D all weekend.
Yep. As a reminder, I know this is mostly a board game convention. We're RPG people, so that's most of what we're going to be reviewing. In fact, pretty much all of what we're going to be reviewing.
Yep. That's not a criticism of any of the board game stuff. That's just we do the things we like to do.
And also, as a reminder, we're not going to say the names of any specific GMs. We will shout out groups like Matinee Adventures, pretty much solely Matinee Adventures.
It is solely Matinee Adventures.
And when we're critiquing RPGs or anything like that, we intend to try to keep our critiques pretty minor because running an RPG is, one, a very difficult thing to do, and two, it's a very personal thing to do. And a very creative thing to do. So we want to be very kind with that. That said, I think all the games we've had so far have been fantastic. So
I had great fun with all of them.
So it's also a bit of an unusual con because it has multiple start dates.
Yes.
So they have what's called the War Game Rooms, which is exclusively for war games and miniature games. That runs all week.
Yep, that opened on Monday.
Yes. It does cost a little bit extra to buy tickets for that.
Yes. If you look on the badges, it says something, I believe it's full show plus war games or something like that. Just, as an easy way for anybody with that badge to know that, yes, you are allowed to do that. Which, again, absolutely fine. If you're paying extra for a thing, you should have a thing indicating that you've done that. And we're once again in the territory of, I like the fact that they have tiered pricing so that those of us who can't get 5 days off work to go wargaming, don't have to pay as though we did. Great. Love that. Makes complete sense. Good call.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I did hear them talking, and I think they got a little bit fewer wargamers this year. I also know that they had fewer RPGs this year.
They did, but apparently their overall attendance numbers are
up. I do know that board games are the primary draw for them, so that's most of what they're going for.
Yep.
But I think there are a couple of, I heard today a couple dozen attendees away from hitting their goal. They might make that. I don't know if they sell that many Sunday tickets.
I don't know if that number was their goal or that was just like the next big milestone. Because again, this is a conversation we overheard. We weren't told directly, and again,
we were told directly because we were in a room where people were talking for extra tables and stuff like that.
Yeah, it wasn't like we were standing sneakily behind somebody, like leaning in. This was just a conversation that was happening at the same gaming table we were at. They weren't actively speaking to us, but they weren't making any effort to not have us hear the conversation.
Yeah, and I don't know the extent. I know one of the con directors knows who we are. I don't know if they all do, but they all volunteer information pretty freely, so we'll report on that as accurately as possible. And the reason why we're reporting on it is because it's from people who we know for a fact work for the con.
And know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
As opposed to online rumors, which we don't tend to report on because we have no way of verifying those at all.
So, yeah. So, this con is held in sort of the Greater Columbus Convention Center, insofar as it's held at the Hyatt Hotel, which is one of the hotels that's connected to the Greater Columbus Convention Center, and it's fairly frequent for cons to use parts of both. This con limits itself solely to the downstairs rooms at the Hyatt, which it's about the right number of rooms for what they're doing. With the exception of the fact that they've got a couple of games going in corridors, which I think is largely the choice of those people, they are not, I don't feel like they're pressed for space, so it's about the right size.
Yeah, I think it is generally the right size. It does have upsides and downsides like all con spaces. It is a bigger con space, It has access to a lot of food courts and stuff because it's in the Greater Columbus Convention Center.
Mm-hmm.
I will admit I also just personally really like the Greater Columbus Convention Center and walking around it.
Love it to bits, but the parking prices are BS.
I haven't finished the positives yet. Another one of the positives, and we'll talk about this, is especially with smaller conventions, you get to go around and see the other types of events they have in the space, and I love doing that.
Yeah. So we'll talk about what else has been there in a bit more detail when we do work chronological.
Yeah. But the downside is the parking. It's the parking. That's the major downside is the parking.
Yeah.
It's highway robbery. Our friend, I almost feel like naming this person now because they A2'd us and left the country for understandable reasons. That's beside the point. They weren't like involved in a crime. They just like left the country.
They have a child who is not strictly speaking on the gender binary and were of the opinion that the country was becoming a slightly less than safe place for them.
They're also Jewish, and that's also kind of just a hard status to be right now.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, again, we had access to a parking pass for free parking that was pretty near the convention center. We don't have that anymore. Tragic, but yeah. So yeah, so we have been parking at the convention center this weekend just for practicality's sake, which has been pricey.
Yeah.
Actually, we're going to talk about one particular bit of.
I know that was annoying. That's not the con's fault, obviously.
No. Again, we'll talk about it when we get to the chronological bit. Yeah, like again, the Greater Columbus Convention Center is still our favorite convention center, and we do consider these rooms as part of it.
Yeah.
Like, so this is a really good space. We have heard that Buckeye is going to be moving next year. They haven't officially announced where to, but apparently one of the advantages next year is going to be free parking. So,
which is exciting.
Yay.
And maybe a whole convention space to ourselves, which is also exciting.
Also good.
And I've heard that they might have private rooms, which is also exciting. The only unexciting part is they might be, because last year when they had it, I think it was just after term, so I was off. This year they happen to have it coinciding with spring break, so I was off. But because it does typically go Thursday to Sunday, which I actually do like, especially for tabletop cons, just because you're typically doing longer events, so you're in fewer of them. It's just gonna be harder to get time off.
Yeah, which again, that's not on the con. That's a
personal preference thing.
Yeah, and they've said it's looking at like it's going to be about the same time of year next year.
Yeah, I heard a couple weeks later, which means it probably wouldn't coincide with spring break. But I can try to get Muskingum University to move their spring break. They totally do that. I vote to approve that calendar every year.
Yeah, but you all like. When was the last time somebody objected to the calendar?
We have objected to it before. The reasons why we've objected to it and why are so boring that we should not talk about them. It's the most bureaucratic stuff ever.
That's valid. So yeah. So ultimately, this is a good space. I understand why they're moving out of it. And I'm curious to see where they go next year. But for this year, good space that I think they were using well.
Yeah. I like the improvements that they made over stuff generally, with having stuff spaced out in different rooms a lot. And I like the fact that they had stuff, they were continuing using tabletop events. And I really enjoyed what they did this year.
Yeah. So, should we go chronological at this point?
Yeah.
So, we got our first, I think, official game time was
2 p.m. on Thursday.
On Thursday, so yeah. So we went down the middle of the day, and got in, did it, parked up. At that time, the thing was still doing their normal parking prices, and we knew we were only going to be there for like 4, maybe 5 hours. And we're like, okay, that's $10. That's depending on whether it's 4 or 5 hours, that was going to be like $10 to $12, which is annoying but tolerable parking prices. So got a ticket, parked up, did all that jazz.
What did I wind up wearing that day?
I don't remember. You were on a strawberry dress
yesterday. I had something that was like a little bit more casual by my standards that day, but I don't remember what exactly. I definitely put on makeup and a wig. If you can.
It was the pink number.
Yeah.
The Mila one.
Oh yes. I got a new dress from one of my favorite clothing companies, Mila, and I wore that. I think I wore a short white wig.
Cool. I was in a t-shirt.
Yes.
Because again, I'm mostly on handler duty, and again, like when we're in a board game con, there's a second bag that's got all of our various gaming things in it. Like the legions of dice you acquire if you go to board game cons.
Yep.
Because, yeah, generally speaking, at most cons, GMs will bring everything that everybody needs.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to have your own dice, that's usually it's useful because they might not have enough for the entire table, so you might have to share, and everybody likes to have their own clicky clacks to play with. If you're playing a system that uses its own unique dice, you're not really expected to have turned up with dice with those, so But yeah, for the most part, it's turn it with your own clicky clacks. They're fun.
Yeah, but I've never been at a table where people wouldn't lend you clicky clacks if you didn't have them.
Yep.
Like, it is pretty rare, I think, for people to be playing their first ever RPG at cons, although it does happen.
It happens.
Although it might have happened when I was playing that, or doing that Princess RPG at Origins.
You mean when you had the literal child?
They were a very small child. I do not think they had much RPG experience at that point.
They had fun, though.
They did have fun.
So, yeah. So registration process, dead simple. This one uses tabletop events, so QR code gets emailed to you a few days before the con. You go up, they scan it, they hand you your badge. Specifically, they hand you the print off that has your badge and your various tickets on it, you grab a lanyard of your choice to put it in. Some people use the clippy ones. We prefer the round the neck ones. Either works fine. And they gave you the option of either. Love that. Thank you. Tear up tickets, put them in the badge. Same basic trick we do at Origins, which is I just put all of our tickets into our badges.
Yep.
And if I have the mental wherewithal at the time to do it, I put them in chronological order. I didn't do that with this one.
Because you were lazy?
Mostly because I looked at them and realized we were in Taft D all weekend.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I had to actually worry about where we were next. And again, for the record, I like the fact that the RPGs have their own dedicated space. It's nice.
Yeah. And this is another con that uses paper tickets that I don't think strictly, at least for their RPGs, really needs them. I do appreciate that they have them, but if they wanted to save money somewhere, that'd be a place where I would recommend saving money, because they really don't matter all that much.
It's useful to have the information of where your next game is.
That is true. You don't have to look on things online, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's just something that it's one of those little touches that makes cons a little bit nicer, but also, if you were trying to save money for some reason, I would recommend that as a cost-saving measure. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. It's nice, but it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Again, especially at a space this size.
Yeah. Because as I think we pointed out, tickets for cons, how much cons care about you actually collecting tickets varies a lot between cons. At this con, it's just mostly honor system, where they do want track how many players are showing up for events, which makes sense, so they can know how many of those type of events are available or should be had and stuff like that.
Yep.
But they, for the most part, just do you can just check off names at the table. You don't really need to turn the physical tickets in. You just need to basically say who shows up.
Yeah, I saw at least one of the GMs filling in a form that was basically this game, this time, this many people turned up, which is fine. That's a perfectly efficient system. So so we had the physical tickets. We didn't really need them. I've been handing them over to the GMs just in case they needed them, and mostly to. So they were out of my way.
Yeah, and so I know some GMs also like to keep them as souvenirs, which is cute. So yeah, we got in, I think, a little bit before 2, pretty close to when the game was starting by the time we actually got down there.
Yep.
Check-in was easy. Just scan the QR code, I think.
Yep, as I said, get the badge, get the ticket, all that jazz, nice and simple and straightforward. And at that point, we pretty much headed straight to the room.
Yeah, I also like that they did have this stuff pre-printed, because it's stuff like Origins, you just watch it printing out. And normal people have 1 or 2 things at Origins that they print out. Those people are rookies.
You mean not the 20-something things that we usually get each?
We must maximize our game time.
Maximize the fun. Maximize it.
I was worried when we brought Calzo and Betty, one of our friends, with us to Origins last year, that
they... a 5.5-hour long Origins episode, incidentally.
Yeah. That they would want to be one of those people who takes breaks in between games. Thankfully, they were not one of those people who wants to take breaks in between games. They are on my side of the fence. You are not.
Oh, goody, another one. Hey, have I ever complained about the way you set up our Origin schedule?
I will say, and we will probably talk more about this, because the majority of RPGs at this con were run by Matinee Adventures. It was kind of nice insofar as they did just kind of have 3 time slots, which I think were 9, 2, and 7 to play games. and with an hour break in between each of those time slots, which meant that everything was just on a nice, concise schedule, and you got an hour break in between games, which was awesome.
Yeah, which also meant we weren't like faffing around being like, okay, we might do this game, but that ends at 6, and this other game we're considering starts at 5.
Yeah. This was the advantage of basically only having one RPG group there.
Mm-hmm.
And RPG groups, I think I've mentioned on the episodes before, are what they sound like. They're basically collections of friends and individuals who work together to run RPGs.
Yep. Because certainly with some of the bigger gaming conventions, like Origins, for example, if you have a if you have a gaming group, they will sometimes, if you're big enough and you're running enough stuff, they'll just give you a room to yourselves.
Yep.
Which is super useful. Whereas if you're like us and you're just, random schmucks who want to run stuff, you get put wherever.
Yeah, and I have noticed there are some things that are kind of consistent across all of their GMs. Like, most of them will have nameplates. Most of them will have, like, character pictures for their characters a lot of the times. Most of them will have maps, like a lot of little touches that I think are kind of standard for their RPGs a lot of times.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if there's training that they undergo for that, or if it's just something that's kind of just been systematized. Also, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about before we got into these specific games, just because I do notice this, and I want to emphasize this
is a personal thing to us.
Yeah, and it wasn't just Matinee Adventures. We've seen other GMs do this. It's, you know what I'm going with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they do AI generate quite a lot of artwork.
Yeah, and also sometimes the AI generate like summaries and plot points also, which, like, I want to be clear, they wrote these adventures 100%. AI did not write them.
Yeah.
But as somebody who works in education, I don't like, and has a lot of artist friends, I really don't like AI stuff in RPGs, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's, like, grossly unethical in the way that some AI stuff is.
I mean, again, before we knew how unethical AI was, this was literally the use I thought it would be good for.
Yeah.
Before, like, we actually got told how they trained these models.
Yeah, which was...
theft.
Yeah. And it's not very environmentally friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of, like, unethical uses for AI, this, I think, is a fairly minor one.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think GMs and people who are using it should be aware that this probably is going to be a turnoff for artists and people who work in education, which are two very huge demographics of people who are going to be showing up at your table.
Yeah.
It's not something that's ever going to make me, like, not want to play a game with people.
Yeah.
Like, they're otherwise a great GM, but it is something for which I personally wish, instead of using, like, AI generated artwork, you could, there's plenty of art online that I think is perfectly acceptable to just take the pictures off if they're freely posting it online and just credit the artist underneath and be like, art by deviant artist or art by this particular person, and just say where you got it. Because you're not selling the artwork or anything, so it's not stealing their artwork. You're giving them credit, and if they posted it for free online, they presumably don't mind people taking a picture of it, putting that picture up, and then advertising their style of artwork to people, because that's a pretty cool thing to do.
Back in one of my home games years ago, I would frequently use, like, images of, like, cosplayers that were posted freely online and be like, this person in this elaborate costume, that gives you a pretty good vibe of what this character looks like. Again, that is something that's been freely posted online. You are using it for a, like, private game. You're just showing it to people. Yeah,
and you can credit the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it, like, in the description underneath where you got it and what the, like, Instagram handle is of that person.
Again, we're aware that, a lot of people don't have a problem with the use of generative AI.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of do.
We kind of do, and it's coming up more and more in RP games. It's not just this one con or any one particular person. It's just been happening a little bit more and more in RP games, and it's making us, I think, it's mildly annoying, I would say.
It's not, it has by no means, like, ruined our experience or anything like that. I want to clarify.
If the story's great, the GM is otherwise great table communication, it's not going to, like, harm our RPG experience in a deep way. It's just something for which, if GMs do happen to be listening to this podcast and want some critique or criticism, that's something we would recommend maybe moving a little bit away from, just because it can be kind of hurtful to me who work in education and are trying to fight AI with a fire hose to save critical thinking.
Mm-hmm. And we have plenty of artist friends.
Yep.
And in particular, AI generated stuff tends to hurt smaller artists.
Yeah.
the ones who are still breaking in and are the kind of people who would normally take like relatively cheap commissions.
And that's why I think getting pictures that are done by artists for some of your work and just giving them credit is actually a great way that you actually could help those artists. Because if you're just putting their Instagram handle on, like I doubt it would be most people, but maybe 1 or 2 people would really like the art and might follow their work and get a piece commissioned by them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, again, none of you are bad people for using AI art. I want to clarify this. It's mostly just, it's a personal problem that we have.
Yeah. And I know some people were also using it for like summaries of their games and stuff like that. Just as somebody who reads like a lot of student papers who uses AI, and also has read a lot of really bad game descriptions, I'm just going to be honest, it really doesn't help. Please just write your own gaming descriptions. Like if you want to use AI for that, fine. Like that's probably, since it's your own writing, it's probably fine. But as somebody who reads a lot of it, it does make my eyes glaze over every time I read it. So that's just a word of advice in like advertising, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not an ethical problem. It's more just a, oh my God, if I read any more AI slop, I'm going to cry problem.
Yeah. So anyway, so the first game we went to wasn't actually a Matinee Adventures game. In fact, I think it's the only one we've been at this weekend that wasn't. This was actually somebody we've played with before.
Yeah, we met them here last year.
No, we didn't.
Oh, that wasn't that person?
Origins.
Oh, who was this?
This was Hill Trolls. It was the first game we did.
Oh, yeah.
Or Hill Trolls and Halflings.
Yeah, well, we definitely did 2 games that aren't Matinee Adventures, because we didn't meet that other person who I knew ran games who's not with him this year. The one that brings their nephew with them. That person's not with Matinee Adventures.
Correct. Yeah, we've done 2 non-matinee games this weekend.
And I will we're going to have to describe a lot of AGMs without using their names out of respect, so bear with us.
So this GM we actually played with, I believe, 2 years ago at Origins, when we played in their game of the Austin family.
Yeah. They remembered us. That was really, like, it's always fun to come up with a table and, like, meet people, because half the people I think we had met at other games that we'd already played with them.
Yep. Yeah, at this point I do recognize a decent chunk of the matinee people.
And I think just by a random stroke of luck, I was wearing a white-haired wig the day I was playing the Austin family with them, where I played Wednesday. It's one of my all-time favorite games.
Yeah. In case you hadn't figured it out, the Austin family game was Regency era Addams Family.
Didn't you just explain that?
No.
Okay.
All I said was the Austin family.
I feel like that gave away exactly what it was.
Yes, but, I'm clarifying.
Yeah, but because I was playing Wednesday in that game, and I had an absolute ball with that game. The GM, I think, recognized me just because my hair happened to be white that day, so I'm glad I picked that wig.
And you were wearing another giant ball gown.
Yeah. Well, that day was just wearing my Alice dress. I still remember what it was wearing that day.
Of course
it was 2 years ago. But I was wearing my short Alice dress that day, so I was not wearing a massive ball gown. I was wearing a casual ball gown. There was no hoop skirt under that one.
Yeah, that might be before you got super into ball gowns.
It was like knee length. It was like, scandalous.
So, yeah. But either way, so yeah, we like this guy.
We do.
Because he likes to run quirky things. And this particular gaming system was, as I say, is it Hill Trolls and Halflings?
Yep.
Where you're all playing a bunch of hobbits.
Yep.
Sorry, halflings.
Yep.
Always remember, unless you're an official Tolkien verse, they're always halflings.
Yep. So yeah, there were a bunch of different character types you could be.
Yep.
One person was the wizard. They had spells.
Yeah, the spellcraft was a little random.
Yep.
Which is, usually fun, stupid magic.
Yep. Everyone else, I think, mostly just kind of has vague abilities. I don't remember what the dice roll mechanics were on this one, do you?
D4s.
Yep.
So this system, if memory serves, was called something along the lines of caltrops. And for anybody who's not familiar with the term, a caltrop is a spiky thing that you drop on a road to make a car's tires explode. Because this system uses D4s, which are traditionally pyramid-shaped. And if you stand on them, they blooming hurt.
Yep.
So, yeah. Whoever named that system. Good gag. Well played. So, yeah, everything D4-based. You roll a certain number of D4s depending on, factors. and then you
Take the highest.
So 4 is a very good success. 3 is a, yeah, you did pretty well, you succeed. 2 is a, and 1 is a, oh, that went very badly for you. You know, so generally speaking, you're rolling about 3 to 4 of them for a thing you're good at.
And there's some mechanics that can make you take away a die, or take away the highest die, or take away the lowest die.
Yep.
Kind of like an advantage system. It's a very silly game. The mechanics are kind of just, they're guidelines rather than rules type mechanics generally.
Yep.
And equipment is basically just write down a bunch of stuff you think you would have.
Yep.
Which is great.
Yeah, I decided to play the Innkeeper class character. I can't remember if they were officially called the Innkeeper, but that's what they were. And like I decided my equipment should be 1 slightly dirty bar rag.
Nice. I had a medieval megaphone that is literally just a cone. I wrote down the entire thing in my description.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, because I was the, hex, I was basically a potion maker. I don't remember the exact title. I think it was like hedge witch or something. Yeah.
Hex mixer?
Yeah. Or hedge fund manager, maybe. But anyway, I decided my character was like the goth, my parents don't just understand me, a hobbit. So I had medieval hobbit guyliner.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jim thought it was amusing. I named my character Viper, which is not a name you should give a hobbit, but we fought trolls that were Teletubbies.
Yep. This was a very silly game.
Yes.
It was fun.
Yeah. And I also really like this GM's casual style, because we were playing this game, but we were also just kind of talking and hanging out. And I actually really do like games like this.
Mm-hmm. It's nice once in a while, especially as a first game of a con.
Yeah.
To ease you into it, it's actually a solid choice.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, some of the Matinee Adventures people I think were playing with us. It's hard for me to remember because they were in most of the games over the weekend.
Yeah.
I definitely remember there were definitely other people at the table we knew.
Yes, there were 2 people who we met at this con last year in that game. Who, again, we're not going to name, but hilariously, they have the same name. So
oh yeah, I remember them now.
If you guys are listening, hi.
Hi.
Again, we don't say names without people's permission, but...
which is going to be hard this con.
Mm-hmm.
So we played this, and then we found out there was a safety convention going on in the main part of the hall. So I made us walk down.
I'd look.
Yeah, so a couple of things happened.
Yep.
I stole a program.
You can't steal them if they're free.
They were left out there. I thought about stealing a lanyard too, but that seemed too far.
That would have been too far.
I will make a bonus episode of this. I'm not actually going to do that, where I read things that were going on at the safety program. They had some very interesting events.
No, they didn't.
They had tree safety. I wanted to go to the tree safety panel. That could have come in handy later.
Yeah.
If we had gone to the tree safety panel, those trees would not have gotten knocked down.
Yes, they would. That's not how anything works.
Yes, it is. Safety, 9/10 of safety is prevention. If we had gone that day, we would have been able to tell that they would have been knocked down. We could have knocked on our neighbor's door.
And nothing would have happened, yes. So this was just kind of what we did to end the day because single game day.
Yeah, so in addition to that, they also, for whatever reason, had a giant helmet and a giant traffic cone as a display. And we took our pictures next to them.
Yeah. Because, this convention looked simultaneously hilarious and extremely boring, I'm not going to lie. But that's true of most professional conventions, if we're honest.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly I just want to know how wild the safety convention parties are.
Yeah. They're
probably pretty wild. Yeah, so at that point, headed home, and this is where we got screwed on the parking.
Yeah.
So as I say, we deliberately, went, okay, we're running a little bit late, it's fine, we'll park here today, it's only going to be $10. So we go up, insert the ticket.
And I want to point out there was no event parking on this. When there's event parking, they have a sign out saying there's event parking.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the fault of the con, this is the fault of that dumb parking lot.
Yeah. This ticket is not, cannot be read. Okay, did it go in a slightly dodgy angle? Okay, try again. This ticket cannot be read. And the person from the booth just kind of comes over and just like scans a thing, swipes a thing, and walks off before I can say anything, and charges us an event parking rate.
Yep. So we paid $25 to be there for 3 hours.
Yeah, maybe 4.
Yeah, it's probably as closer to 4 realistically, but that's we would not have done that.
No, like if they hadn't walked away so fast, I would have complained.
Yes, but I'm not,
because I looked on the way out. That sign still said regular parking rates.
Mm-hmm.
I had a ticket on it that said that we arrived at 1:47.
Mm-hmm.
We were leaving like 5 something or other.
Yep.
So yeah, not massively happy about that.
Yeah, not the con's fault. I'm not also going to blame the parking attendant because they're not paid enough.
No.
But like, in a world where I cared enough about like $12 to
complain
to people, I would do so. But I'm not going to complain that much for $12. I'm aware if I did complain for $12, I would probably get that $12 back. Because if you're the type of person who complains about $12, you're going to get that $12 back.
Yeah, it's mostly about how much complaining you have to do before it happens. But...
Also, like, how insane I'm definitely both sick and also, like,
very tired.
Hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I apologize if this is not maybe my best episode. It's fine.
Yeah. So, next day,
yep.
We had to be there at 9.
Hooray!
So we pile you into a ball gown.
At 7.
At 7 o'clock in the morning.
We needed to get up at 6:30.
Yeah,
we didn't do that. Also, like, I was wearing a new costume because this was my
new strawberry dress.
My new strawberry dress. We just got it altered. It is more lower cut than my other dresses. It does make me feel a little bit self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
I might get some lining or stuff added to the top to make it feel a little bit less self-conscious generally.
Yeah.
That said, I do love it. It's very pretty.
It's very pretty. You got a lot of compliments.
I did. So yeah, and then we piled into the car. Because of like me kind of getting ready, I do think we're a teensy bit late.
We were running a couple of minutes behind, like nothing awful.
So we caved and got the event parking again.
Yeah, $25.
Yay.
So, went in, got to our table, once again, we were Taft D, and this game was Traveller.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another GM we've met before,
yes.
Specifically last year's Buckeye. This is the GM who was running Mothership.
Yes, and I think was running 2 of the board games we played also.
Yeah. Similar vibe to Mothership, actually. Yeah. So Mothership, if you've not played it, is kind of heavily Alien-inspired. Mm-hmm. It's very much like space horror.
Yeah.
And this Traveller game was kind of on the same wavelength.
Yeah, similar space horror. Their nephew was also playing. Their nephew is a child of indiscriminate age.
I'm going to assume somewhere on the top end of preteen.
Yeah. I mean, I think we called them their son last time because we didn't know the relationship. They did email us, though, so we did know the relationship this time. I'm obviously not going to name a literal child, so...
Yep.
And I do think it was interesting because I would say this game last year probably would have been maybe a little bit too adult for them, but this year I think they were the right age for it.
Yep.
Because it's a little bit horror-themed, but it's not like horror-themed in a way that like, it's PG-13-ish horror. And kids of that age can handle PG-13 regardless of whether or not they're actually 13.
It's fundamentally, it was exploring a haunted house.
Yeah.
Like, the haunted house in this case was a spaceship in which mysterious things had happened, but same basic principle.
What was the dice system for this one?
It's a 2d6 system.
Yep.
So Traveller is a fairly simple system. It's basically 2d6, add some modifiers for relevant skills, maybe subtract some stuff for, if you don't have the relevant skills, and whatever number you get determines how well you do. I think an average difficulty thing's supposed to be an 8 or above to succeed. So statistically speaking, on a 2d6, that's pretty close to. It's slightly less than a 50% chance if you've got nothing involved at all to add. So.
Yeah, I did like this one, I think, a bit better than the last time we played it. Table was a bit more filled out, and it felt like we were a little bit less on a ridiculous time crunch that wasn't solvable.
Yeah.
It was fun looking for clues, so I did enjoy this one a lot.
Yes. For the record, when we say previous time, we'll talk about the Traveller game we did at Cincy.
Yes.
Which it suffered from where it was. It was in a crowded room full of a lot of people, whereas this one, there was literally nobody in the room but us.
Yeah. I will say, I felt a lot, or at least so far, I felt a lot more at ease at this con than I felt at CincyCon. I do think the room helps a lot.
It does. RPGing in a tight space with a lot of other people around is difficult. So again, RPGs having their own space. There's enough space between the various tables. Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, I think I needed this con, honestly, because I did enjoy CincyCon, but I was kind of always a little bit on edge at CincyCon. I think you were kind of too. This con, I've been completely relaxed the entire time.
I'm not going to lie, I've been a little on edge today, but that's got absolutely nothing to do with the con.
That has more to do with trees.
Yeah.
And how unpleasant they are.
Yeah.
Almost as if they were.
No. Bad. No. Bad.
I gave you so much setup for that one. You could have done way better with that.
No.
Eh.
So, but yeah, this was a good game, fun table.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, it's a mystery-based game and module, so I don't want to give anything away in case you also happen to play this game.
Yep.
I really like this GM style. They're very collaborative a lot of the time, and their nephew's playing. They do great with a mixed stage table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I do think their nephew has improved as an RP player this year. So, not that they were bad last year. It's just I've seen some growth from them between this year and last year in terms of what they were doing. What insofar as they weren't doing things to like actively harm the party this year.
Teacher sometimes.
What? Like I like watching people grow and be creative is a pretty cool thing.
I know.
And it's also pretty cool that you're taking your nephew to cons and teaching them to play RPG games. So
yeah.
Horror is not my favorite genre generally, but I do like this system a lot. And this was about the right level of horror, I think, for me generally, in terms of like what we were expected to find and how we were supposed to expect to find it.
Yep.
And yeah, plot twist, you're basically exploring abandoned spaceships. You got to figure out what's going on. Obviously, if you play, you would learn more stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, we're not going to spoil anything. This was fun. We enjoyed it. What was the 2 o'clock game on Friday?
Oh, that was Little Fears.
Ah, yes. So, in between, when that game ended, we basically, again, stood up, went for a walk, I got some food.
We did the raffle.
The raffle at this con is your pretty standard charity raffle. Though they nicked an idea from Adam Con, which, again, Adam himself is here at this one, so, I don't think it was...
Yeah, it was, I think, suggested by somebody. I honestly would recommend this idea for any cons that are doing charity raffles.
It's a really good idea, which is basically when you buy your tickets, they have, some stamps available, and you stamp your badge number on it. That's a great idea. It's so much faster than getting people to, write names on tickets. This is a great idea. I don't know who came up with it originally. I saw it for the first time at Adam Con. I'm going to be passing this one on to the furries as an idea, because it's a really, really good one. Yep.
Although I don't think the furries are going to want to do it, because they're going to want to write their persona names on all the tickets.
The people who have... Hey, we know at the FurCon some people do turn up with stamps they had made with their stuff on.
Yeah, but their stamps say stuff like Finn Doggo on them.
Yeah. That guy won so much stuff.
He did.
But yeah, this is a really, really good system. It speeds up the process a lot. And it also made the actual claiming of stuff easier later, because they could just, rather than having to write out long ticket names on on boards, they could just write 3 to 4 numbers for the con badge number.
Yep.
Super helpful. Again, it doesn't help you if you're at a convention that doesn't do numbered badges, because some don't. But if you are at one that does, this helps.
Yeah. And also, this is smaller. I will say we've probably been spoiled by the likes of Adam Con, which was insane, and Wapafwa, the FurCon, which is even more insane somehow. This one has a sane, normal number of prizes, which is not bad.
Yeah.
And some fairly big ticket items. You can have a 2-night stay in a castle where you get to play D&D, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Free badges for Origins, which those suckers run to $100 is 2 free badges to Origins. That's pretty good.
And and they had 5 of those. And they had passes to next Buckeye GameFest, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
And a bunch of other very cool things, including the steampunk.
Yeah, they had a steampunk wargaming board.
Yeah. Which we put a ticket into for funsies. You were terrified we were going to win that.
Yeah, that was under the heading of, this would be really cool to own. I have literally nowhere in the house I could put it.
Yeah.
And I'd be even a little worried about even transporting it home.
Yeah. But the fun of a charity auction ultimately is deciding what you're going to put tickets into, putting tickets in, and just having the fun doing it. It's for charity.
Yeah. Again, if you really wanted those Origins tickets, you could like buy a whole theoretically you could buy so many raffle tickets that you would just have the price of an Origins badge and put that many tickets in, and you're still not guaranteed to get it. So
I mean, you could get all 5. I think. I don't know if there's a rule that you're only allowed 1.
Good question. I honestly do not know.
There were a couple of the raffles do have multiple winners on them. Like there was a lot of big board games and a lot of small board games, both of which each had one winner or like multiple winners on them. Generally, both of us I think are still confused as to how that works. If they just like draw one name per ticket, or if the first person who comes into the room gets to claim like the first board game in the lot. I really still have no clue.
Yes, I might see if I can find that out tomorrow, just out of curiosity. So we'll try and report back on that one.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal either way. Like most people, I think, are putting stuff in just for funsies.
Yep. So we did that. Wandered around, saw what was being set up for the rest of the weekend because the safety convention had ended.
Yep.
They were setting up a cheerleader convention.
Yep.
And a volleyball thing.
Yep.
Yeah, there were going to be a lot of young children, especially the female presenting ones, walking around the convention on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And you were going to be dressed as a princess.
Yep, multiple days.
Yeah.
Like, I was dressed as a princess that day, and some people were checking in.
Yeah. So, yeah, you did get some, like, appreciative oohs and ahs, and, I like your dresses.
And and this is why I actually really do like the convention center staff. It's like, one of the staff members stopped me as we were wandering around and had, like, a 5-minute conversation with me about my ball gown. Mm-hmm. And this is why I'm still mad at GalaxyCon for calling out the convention center staff, because they're great.
Yeah, they really are.
Just don't make them do jobs that are impossible and set up unnecessary metal detectors there for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or have, like, prop check policies that are contradictory.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
But this is not the Rant About GalaxyCon podcast.
No.
Except for the episodes that are about ranting about GalaxyCon.
Yeah, you should watch those episodes if you just want to listen to us rant about stuff.
Yeah, they have their own separate thing. So, what was the second game?
Little Fears.
Little Fears.
I don't know why this was like one of my favorite games. I get that you were kind of more of the bat. You don't tend to like playing little kids as much as I do, but
I'm never quite sure how to get in the mindset. Mm-hmm. You get into it instantly.
Yep. And this, I think, was actually the second game we were playing with one of the con chairs this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you and she seem to have similar taste in games.
Yep.
We played Harley Quinn the musical with her last year.
Yeah. Stop popping your ears.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah. You want to talk about this game?
Yeah. So, this was there are a lot of games in this genre, although I particularly did like this iteration of it, where you're basically like little kids with supernatural powers. So my character was the youngest at 6. I think the oldest kid was like 12.
Yep.
I think the setting can take place in any different types of setting, but like this one was taking place at like a ritzy boarding school, like ritzy boarding school parents. Another thing I really, really liked about this adventure is that all the kids had sibling relationships, and I really like when you get kids, or in any RPG, I really like it when you make connections between the characters, because it makes RP a little bit easier between the characters if you have like best friend, brother, sibling, because it gives you those like natural little moments of RP. Mm-hmm. Generally. I think it's a D6 system, so I'm not as good at remembering dice systems as you are.
It was D6s.
Yeah.
No, wait. Yes? No?
I don't.
Yes?
Did you not even like pay attention? Were you asleep during this? Because you did not talk a lot.
My brain's just fried.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was D6.
Okay.
Dice pool system.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it was like you had various stats, and you had 3 dice or 5 dice, I remember, for different ones. Mm-hmm. In terms of what your total score would be, and I think you just added them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Our brains might be a bit fried this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, this was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm going to be honest, I didn't...
Oh, no, I remember it now. Okay, so it's like, it's a D6 system where you roll 1d6 and then add a modifier to it.
Yes.
So, different stats at different modifiers, the highest, I think, being near 5, and the lowest being near, like, 1, I assume. most people I think have pretty balanced stats. So like the highest you could generally roll is 11, because the highest stat I think most people had was 5.
Yeah.
And the GM would roll typically opposed to you, and if they rolled higher than you with their various stat blocks, then you failed, and if you rolled higher, then you succeeded.
Yeah.
So what were you gonna say?
Or,
I want this to be a good episode.
it's not.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love you too. I like this con a lot.
So
I'm
do
trying
I.
to give them the time.
But we're driving back at midnight.
You're the one who wanted to record.
Yes, I did, because if we try and do it tomorrow, we're not going to have time. So anyway.
We could have gone to round 1 and then driven
no,
back.
Nope. So yeah. I freely admit, in this game, I was leaning on the fact that I was playing, one of the qualities that my character had was shy.
Mm-hmm.
I did lean on that to not talk a massive amount, because you are right. Like, you really adore games where you get to play as little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I do find it hard to get into the mindset. I find it hard to play them. So it always takes me quite a while to warm up to those systems.
Yeah, this was a very femme-presenting led table. Because I think it was us, one other couple, or 2 other people who arrived together who I think might have been friends. I'm unclear on their relationship, and the con chair.
Mm-hmm.
And the con chair was also femme-identifying, like, where the 3 people were kind of taking the lead. The boys were kind of taking a back seat a little bit.
Yeah. We did some stuff.
You did.
But, I freely admit, the bulk of the good RP at the table did come from you 3.
Yeah. But, like, this was just what I adored. And, like, I appreciated the GM, like, because I have been in a lot of little kid games where, like, the purpose of the little kid games is just scaring and corrupting little kids. This was not what it was. It was about being a little kid with superpowers. There were some horror elements. They were about at the level I wanted for the horror elements generally. And it felt, like, actually age appropriate. And it was a lot of fun. Like, I adore stuff like this. And it is nice for me. I do like RPing with you a lot, generally. I do kind of wish there was a game where we were both on. I guess that's kind of what one of the games we played today was. But I was having a blast playing with, like, these other, like, kids, playing just basically young girls who were running around, doing stuff, saying very funny things. Like, I think most people did have a moment where they, like, broke the table entirely and we're all just keeling over with laughter, which was great.
There was a moment where I very nearly did a spit take on your dress, and you would have punched me in the face if I'd done that. Because again, like, I don't remember what the line was, but I'd just taken a swig, and there was a line that came out that just broke me.
Yeah, I will point out my kid, like, was actually right, insofar as I don't want to give away the mystery in case other people play this at some point. But my character pointed out, like, a certain statistic, and that certain statistic turned out to be true at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know, you know.
Yeah. So yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a game I was definitely taking a back seat with, but I'd like to think
You did, like, you were playing your kid well once you got him down, of just, like, kind of the shy kid who occasionally, like, said stuff profound.
Yep.
It just kind of does what, like, the girls around him tell him. Like, I knew a lot of boys like that growing up, so you did a good job with that.
Thank you. So yeah, fun game.
Mm-hmm. Very cute. I adored this. Like, it ticks a lot of my boxes for games generally.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed a, like, dominantly femme table, so it was great. And the GM, I think, did a great job. They got to play a character, but did a good job, like, playing the character and, like, bringing them into the scene insofar as they had them without, like, having them dominate a lot of the time.
Yeah, because this was the classic case of 6 available player characters, nominally 6 spaces at the table, 1 person. I don't remember if it was just didn't turn up or just 1 ticket didn't sell. I think it was the latter, which, again, happens, especially at a smaller board game con. So they were like, okay, this character is here. They will do stuff occasionally.
Yeah. And the other thing I will point out, I don't remember if it's this game who had problems, like, actually filling, but one nice thing about particularly Matinee Adventures groups a lot of the time is if some people have signed up for their games, and it's not enough people to have the table make, they will legitimately try to find other members of their group who like played the game along with them, so people who want to play it get a chance to play it even if the table's not full.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that happened to us a couple times this weekend where games might not have made had people not gotten pulled in, but they got people to be pulled in, and that's kind of great.
Yeah. So I'm going to float a theory. I don't have this confirmed. I suspect they give the games some time to fill with members of the public.
Yep.
And then if they're down to like a week left of the con and there's still spaces open, then other members of the group will like buy tickets and fill.
Yep.
But that's a theory.
Yep.
I have no evidence of that. It would just make a certain amount of sense, given a couple of things that were said.
Yeah. So this was awesome. I had a blast with this game. It was almost perfectly paced. It took the exact amount of time it should. I had so much fun with this.
Yep. Yeah, it ended like about 15 minutes before the end of its time slot, which is usually about what you should be aiming for.
And I think this was also around the time period where we realized, because we played, I think, the majority of the matinee GMs who can make it to cons in Ohio at this point, that we could just straight up like leave stuff in the room, and there would generally be somebody hanging around to watch it. Yep. So we just kind of did that.
Yep. Got food. I got food at the food court.
Yep. Chilled out, walked around a bit more.
Yep. Encountered the most wonderfully checked out Subway employee. It was great. Like the guy was doing his job. Yeah, but he was clearly exhausted and past the point where he cared. So he was just being extremely casual with all of the customers, and it was great. So yeah. So again, our break.
Yep.
Wandered around, got some food, got some beverages in us, and then sat down to play Star Wars Fate.
Yep.
So Fate is a system that we have played once before. Specifically, it's a. This is you remember how I mentioned earlier that certain systems use their own unique dice?
Yep.
This one uses 6-sided dice where 2 faces are pluses, 2 faces are minuses, and 2 faces are blank. And for every roll, you roll 4 of them. You see how many pluses you get. You see how many minuses you get. That gives you a number. And you add whatever number that is, whether it's positive or negative, to a relevant stat, which will give you some bonuses to it. Usually you're looking to beat a 2 or higher, unless things are more complicated, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a very narrative-focused system, insofar as it wants you to do cool stuff and not worry too much about the mechanics of how it happens.
Yeah. So, we played this. We played Fate once before at Gen Con on Sunday. That was kind of a social casual game. This, at least the parts we were in, because this was kind of cut short due to unpleasant tree fiasco.
Tree stuff.
Yeah.
It was halfway through this game when we found out about the tree.
Which is the GM, I want to point out, was extraordinarily understanding.
Yeah, because we basically got sent a picture by our landlords, because I think one of our neighbors had contacted them.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "Hey, were you guys home when this happened? Are you okay?" And we were like, "No, we've been in Columbus, and oh boy, yeah, we're gonna go home as quickly as possible." So we were very much having fun in this game up until that point. So this was using the Fate system set within the Star Wars universe. Fate is a very malleable system. You can pretty much use it for whatever setting you want to use it for.
Yeah.
So, doing Star Wars with it works great.
Yeah, it was interesting. And I was interested to see this and how it, because one question I always have with Star Wars-based systems is, how many Jedi are there going to be and who gets to play a Jedi? And you would think, generally I actually prefer games where, everyone's a Force user just because of the fun. In this game, the Jedi didn't actually wind up getting chosen.
Because, this is set, I believe he said in the 3-year gap between New Hope and Empire. So you're all rebellion operatives, and one of them was a Jedi.
Yeah.
Weirdly, that was the one character that didn't get picked.
Yeah. One of the people who was playing in this game was the GM from the previous game.
Yep.
She came in with a pre-assigned character based on the conversations at the table, and this is me speculating a little bit. I know the GM wanted that character to be played because Star Wars games tend to be predominantly male, and that was kind of a social, bard, sexy character. I didn't think he was confident that character was going to get chosen. So he wanted to make sure that somebody picked it and offered it to her because I think she likes playing those types of character.
Yep.
I also think she sensed that she thought that'd be a character I would be interested in playing, which she guessed correctly because she did offer it to me.
Mm-hmm.
That said, had somebody else not picked that character, I probably would have gone for that one. But the GM wanted her to play it, and I was like, you know what? We're going to use the system to branch out, especially since randomly they had a character named Blair who was a Daredevil rogue character. And the last time I played Fate at Gen Con, I also, in an extremely different game, played a character named Blair who was a Daredevil character. So I'm like, I should just do this. I feel like it's, fate, pun intended, telling me to play this character again.
Yep.
And I don't generally play roguish kind of Daredevil type characters, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of play against type a little bit. And I was having a lot of fun with this character.
Mm-hmm.
I stole a blaster gun.
Yeah, when we arrived at the bar, and you were like, okay, what we all do? We all getting a seat, getting drinks, and you were just like, yeah, I'm gonna walk around the room and try and steal some stuff.
Yep.
It was like, yeah, that's on point for what your character would do.
And another thing I really liked about this adventure is that all the characters did have very clearly defined roles, and there were clearly moments in the adventure that were designed for them to shine, which I liked a lot. We didn't get to see all of them, but I do know there was my character was a hacker. I know there was a moment later in the adventure where I was supposed to hack something because the GM talked to us about it today.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some piloting moments for the pilot.
Yep.
So I think every character had some moments where they could really shine as a character, which I like a lot.
There was a gladiatorial fight, and one of the characters is a former gladiator.
Yeah.
It was clearly designed with those characters in mind and making sure that everyone at the table would have at least one really cool moment to do a cool thing with their character.
Yeah.
Which again, good game design, especially for a con. So yeah,
this was more combat, less RP, so very different from the other stuff. We hadn't really explored Fate combat a lot, so
it was nice to do that, and then we got interrupted.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we got through, I think, kind of, casino scene. I'm not going to give too much away, and then a chase scene.
Yep, bar scene, chase scene.
And then we're landing on a planet. I was finding out intel, which was pretty cool.
Yep.
And then
we found out some intel.
Yeah, some real intel that was less cool.
So yeah, at that point we booked it home because we were deeply concerned about the pets.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had exactly one picture. It didn't show anything super helpful.
Yep.
So yeah, we booked it home.
Yep.
We thought to call our pet sitter, who again lives in town, because we were an hour away and we were panicking a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Just you don't know what's going on.
So yeah, I called a pet sitter and said, "Hey, given what's going on, do you mind just running around to the house and just checking to see if they're okay?" Which she did. They are fine. And I'm really grateful she was prepared to do that because otherwise we would have. Yeah. So yeah. So at that point we got home.
Yeah.
And yeah, if we hadn't, I knew this part of the podcast was going to take about an hour, which is why I was going to have us recorded on Friday night.
Yep. It's almost exactly the amount of time it took, given that we were home right now. So.
Yeah. Again, it's almost like I know the rate at which we do things.
It's almost like we timed the rate at which we do things to try to make it so that it's long enough to,
keep us awake on the drive home.
Yeah, it's most of what we started recording this podcast. Also, I would like to apologize again to Buckeye about how kind of delirious we are this particular episode. We're kind of a mix of con high and drunk, which is not actual high and drunk, which is kind of, happy feelings that I think we need today.
Yeah. Yeah, con high and con drunk are two closely related things that are basically when you get con high, you get bouncy.
Yep.
That's very literally bouncy, by the way. She jumps up and down. It's really cute if you've never seen it. And con drunk is usually when we're sat in a chair with just an endorphin rush and just kind of giggling to ourselves.
Yeah, we're more con drunk, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just because we've been dealing with the emotions of also the back half of this. But the fact that I've been pretty relaxed today, generally, even though we're dealing with all this, is a sign of how good I think this con is.
Mm-hmm.
And a very big shout out to both the people who are running the con who I know are doing a great job, and to Matinee Adventures who are doing a great job, and the other GMs who are also doing a great job.
They are. So this is a good point for us to pause this recording.
Yep, we'll talk about Saturday, which is today, tomorrow, and Sunday we're only playing one game.
Yep.
We might be chilling out and hanging out with people and having food.
Yeah, so. We'll see what ends up happening on Sunday.
Yep.
Well, on Sunday, and then we will continue. Yeah. So see you momentarily.
Bye.
Bye. And we are back.
We're back, and hopefully less tired and croaky. Maybe.
Maybe less croaky, less tired.
I'm less tired.
I'm kind of not, but it's fine.
I do want to apologize again for this to be kind of a chaotic episode, but
it's been a weekend.
It's been a weekend. We do have a couple immediate updates. One, our landlord did come by and apparently has carved a tunnel for us to get through in the tree debris.
Because in a move that surprised, I suspect, nobody but him, it's going to take heavy lifting equipment to get rid of the trees.
Yep.
Yeah. So, again, he needs to file an insurance claim. I suspect we'll be doing a lot of maneuvering for at least most of this week, but it's fine. We'll figure it out.
Also, relatedly, the Firefly people we mentioned this last podcast have announced they're trying to get an animated series produced, so we were both right.
Yep.
Trying. We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where it goes.
Also, if you're getting that type of information from us, find a better news source for that.
Yeah. So, yeah. We just want to say, hold it.
Yep.
So, anyway. So, back to Buckeye GameFest.
Yeah.
So, I believe when we finished talking last night, we basically finished talking about Thursday and Friday.
Yes, so today we'll talk about Saturday and Sunday, do top com moments and all that jazz.
All our usual junk. So yeah, so Saturday morning, we got up, we got out the door.
Sort of.
So let's explain to people the really, really stupid decision that we made on Saturday.
Yeah, it was dumb.
Yeah.
So I have my most elaborate dress. I've only worn this once because it's so elaborate and has a train. It doesn't really mesh with winter, particularly because the bottom is like a cream color. It's a quinceañera kind of modified dress that I'm also wearing a hoops cutter, so it's extraordinarily poofy.
Yeah. Like
basically when I'm in the car, this entire like front section where I'm sitting is just poof upon poof upon poof.
And part of my section as well.
Yeah. I got it all on this side of the car on that day.
You did. It took some finagling, but you did manage to do that.
Yeah, and it's also pretty heavy. Like one of my heavier dresses, obviously, with all of the poofing.
Yes.
And I had planned to wear this before Tree Fiasco.
Yes. And because you're stubborn, you decided you wanted to still wear it despite the Tree Fiasco.
Well, it's also like, I think we were both a bit nervous leaving the pets again because I was feeling a bit guilty about leaving them before. But it's also one of those things where if you let stuff stop you, then it's just going to be harder to do it later. Mm-hmm. So,
especially since one of the things our internet was out
at
that point. It's back now. But.
Yeah. And like we did originally at the beginning of the day, because I will admit we were late to our table, which we definitely don't like to be on Friday. We told ourselves that we were going to get up at 6:30 to make sure we made it to our table on time. By the time we got home and by the time you chased the freaking bird out of the house, I was just like, I can't do before 7. I just can't. So we did 7. We did actually manage to get out the door quicker than we did the previous day, despite me being in a giant ball gown. We had to maneuver around the backside of a house.
Somehow. So loading you in and out of the house at the moment requires going out the back door, lifting the train so that we can walk over the grass, while also maneuvering around the tree detritus.
Yes.
So it's an experience.
Yeah. The internet was still out that morning.
Yes. But we confirmed a, county/area/ there was clearly some major problem somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I was keeping my eye on it throughout the day, different parts of town were kind of reporting that their internet was coming back on at different times. So the internet provider was working on it, and somewhere throughout the day, by the time we got home that night, our internet had been restored.
Yeah, so. I just want to point out, for most couples, when their internet goes out, they do aggressive stuff, but it's not go to a con. That's just what we do.
Yeah, this is true. We're crazy.
Yeah.
So we got you loaded into your most ridiculous elaborate ball gown.
Yep.
Got you into the car, got on the road, and made it to the convention center we did end up having to fuel up on the way, mildly annoyingly.
Yeah. And we didn't because we were playing most of all of our rest of our games with Matinee Adventures, and we were playing with them last night. Everyone was aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
They did tell us to email them. I will admit I did not have the energy to do that.
They basically said, like, if we weren't going to be able to make it, just drop them an email and let them know. Like, it wasn't going to be any kind of an issue.
Yeah, and I could have emailed them to say we were late. I was just tired and in a giant ball gun that was hard to maneuver. So I didn't. And we weren't that late. I think we're like 10 minutes late.
Yeah, we got there at like 10 past, quarter past-ish.
Yeah, and I think this was just the point where we decided to cave and just eat the like $30 surcharge parking all weekend.
Yeah. The event parking price is still BS. But,
I really hope we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we have another con there until Origins.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll figure. And Origins we'll figure out as we go because Origins is bonkers.
So our first game, I'll see if I can find the actual name on my phone.
Legend of the Five Rings.
Yes.
Which I get the impression is very frequently shorted to L5RE. Yeah, something. Anyway.
Yeah. And I think I mostly did this because it was like the only morning game that was an RPG available. I will admit I didn't know a lot about the system. I saw it was Matinee Adventures and that it was at the time part and it was an RPG, so I'm like, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I did not know much about the lore.
Yeah.
I will admit I was having a little bit trouble following some stuff at the table just because I was tired and political intrigue campaigns are a little bit harder for me to kind of synthesize.
So this particular game was, as you might, indicate from the name Legend of the Five Rings, this is very Asian mythology coded, role playing.
Mm-hmm.
So you are part of a clan, very sort of like heavily Japanese influenced kind of, historical vibe. So you're all like samurai and ninjas. Sorry, actors. That kind of thing. You are sent on missions, do your RPG kind of stuff. So this was I believe our characters were level 2.
Yep.
And it was an interesting system insofar as for any given roll, you would roll a certain number of 10-sided dice, which would be determined. I don't know what the calculations were for determining what, how many dice you were rolling. It was basically a case of you'd look at the appropriate skill of the GM had filled in all the...
See, this is how I can tell you're less tired, is because you're back to actually explaining freaking systems.
You're welcome. So it was basically roll 7d10, right? Except it then said keep, 3 of them, for example. So, 7, keep 3, which basically means you roll 7 dice, and then you pick 3 of them, and then you add those numbers, and that's your success number.
Yeah.
And I think for everything we rolled, we obviously took the highest because that's usually what you're going to want to do. Mm-hmm. But the GM did mention there are technically situations where you might want to take not the highest. And his example was in one game of this he ran, they were fighting a honor duel against a noble's son to first blood, and that's not a situation where when you roll damage, you want to take low numbers. Mm-hmm. Because you don't want to accidentally, murder the son of the guy you're trying to,
I mean, also somebody who likes to do creative things in games, which I think Matinee Adventures people generally appreciate. There were a couple of spells I was looking at where causing the inverse of the spell actually would have been more useful than causing the spell. And I would have honestly, if I had the opportunity to do that, asked the GM of just like, hey, if I do if I fail this, does the opposite happen? Because if it does... I have a feeling the GM might have said yes to, depending on the situation.
Yeah, because you were brave and took the spellcasting character.
Yeah, we did walk up to the table late, so I expected we weren't going to get first pick of characters. Ooh, that's a goose triple date. Well, it's 3 geese.
That's a goose thruple.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, so... But because I think everybody else at the table were members of Matinee...
Yeah.
One of them basically had dibs in the character that I think the GM explicitly recommended they take that one because they know her and know that she's good at that type of character, which, to be fair, she was killing it as that character.
No, that was at the previous game, the Star Wars Fate game. She had dibs on that character. I think at this game, everyone just picked their characters before us.
Fair enough.
And fairness, she was also great at that character. But I don't know how characters were picked before we got to the table because we were obviously not there. But there were
I do know that one of the people there basically put his character back in the pool of consideration for us. So if we wanted to take that one, we could have. Neither of us ended up picking the one he was already intending to take, so he just took it right back. But it was very nice of him to give us that option if we wanted it. Like, very much appreciated. Because general con etiquette is, first to the table usually gets first pick of character.
Yes.
Which is fine. Like, we do not have a problem with that generally.
Yeah, and I appreciated them. I don't think we wanted his character anyway. Like, I will admit, the person who was, this was the same person, and I apologize, I have to keep using person, but we don't have permission, and I want to be respectful.
Mm-hmm.
The person who was running the Little Fears game and was playing in the Fate game and in this game, I do think has very similar taste in characters to the type of characters I like to play.
Yep.
Which is great. She's also fantastic at them.
Yep.
So, and I was actually happy she got the more, I think, social character this time because I was a little tired and not as much on my social RP game generally.
Yep.
So I enjoyed having just a caster for chaos.
Yeah. Plus, I fully admit, you and I are not that overtly into Japanese culture, which means there was a lot of terms and words being thrown around that. I'm going to be honest, if it's more complicated than ninja or samurai, I'm not going to remember what it means. So, thank you very much to the GM for repeating certain terms fairly frequently, so that we could actually use them.
Yeah, I appreciated that a lot. I thought the GM did a pretty good job of explaining this. We were both on tire mode this game, and I thought I understood most of it generally. And the culture was interesting. We don't generally tend to do Asian-themed games this often. Or that often, I don't think.
Yeah. And again, same way that I freely admit the character I was playing was interesting because they were the actor, which is just euphemism for ninja. So I was quite sneaky, but I was also very socially sneaky. So I could blend in with the servant classes and do that kind of stuff, which I don't get to do anywhere near as often. I tend to end up playing very pompous.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun for me. And again, this was also a GM who, most of matinee GMs, if the game has a fate point or a reroll mechanic or that kind of stuff that's based on a point system, they will usually give you extra ones for good role play and good ideas.
Yeah.
So they were, there were a few of those that got handed out to us throughout the game, which was always nice.
Yeah, and I also appreciate in con games, it's just kind of fun to just have stuff succeed when you need it to succeed some of the time, just for funsies. Because there are just certain, particularly in adventures that I find are short-term or one-shot adventures that do have a bit of a plot train to them, which is obviously fine. How else are you going to write an adventure? There are just kind of moments in the game where you need something to work. And this GM also had a rule that I really liked, because I do actually like this a lot, and particularly investigative campaigns, which is don't hide any critical information you need for your story to work behind a roll.
Mm-hmm.
So this GM repeated in both their games we played with them today, which I liked a lot. It's just kind of a rule.
It's, especially for con games, it's good advice.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing more frustrating than just the dice gods not cooperating with you, and as a result, your players having not enough information to progress. Don't get me wrong, you can include dice rolls and that kind of stuff, but it should give them bonus information, not be required to get the critical stuff. So, for example, in my Mass Effect game, there's a moment when the players can potentially realize they're being followed. The fact they are being followed is not necessary information, but it can inform a later bit.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So if they pass the perception roll, great. They get some extra, they know something potentially useful. If they don't, then they don't. Hilariously, both times I've run it, somebody's got a nat 20 on that check.
Nice. So yeah, I really like the GM and the style of the character. As usual, we don't want to give too much away about the story in case it plays again.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I think I made a plot moment occur that wasn't supposed to happen just because I rolled an exploding die on just a random spell I was doing.
Yes, that was the one thing I forgot to mention about this system. If you roll a 10 on that 10-sided dice, it explodes.
Yeah.
So you keep it, but you add another one.
Yeah. And because you're rolling so many die, you probably will get a 10 at least once or twice during the campaign. And I got 2 10s in a row. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, I think they basically had to create a villain who was not otherwise there to make that roll pay off in some interesting way.
Well, again, you cast what amounted to, a detecting secret spell.
Yeah.
And it succeeded super hard.
Yeah. So I created a secret that I don't think was even actually in the campaign originally. It's fine.
Again, that's called rolling with the punches, and that's just being a good GM.
Yeah, I appreciated him giving my character a moment, especially since obviously if you're taking the only magic user in a complex system, magic tends to be the most complex aspect of the system, and I was given 6 pages of spells.
Yeah.
All of which I do.
Yeah. The actual casting wasn't that complicated.
No, the casting was just a basic check.
Yeah, it's just you had a lot of potential options of what you could do.
And it took me a while to read through them enough to know what would be relevant a lot of the time. But I liked that moment, and I also liked when I did the whole Indiana Jones moment a little bit later. And I also really liked that Table took my stupid idea. So.
Yep.
And yeah, I enjoyed watching this group roleplay with each other also a lot.
Mm-hmm. Again, you can tell this group of friends with each other. It's kind of adorable to be
But they're friends that are very welcoming to new people playing, which I liked a lot.
I would definitely agree with that. They like finding, people who have similar vibes of crazy is probably the best way to describe it. Which, unfortunately we match their vibe of crazy a lot of the time.
I hope we do at least.
I think so.
So, this is a game that I will admit I probably would not have liked quite as much had it been run by any other group.
Mm-hmm. Because again, I can definitely see somebody going very combat heavy in this system.
Mm-hmm. The GM was pointing out that it's probably not the best combat system just because due to the exploding die feature, it's actually quite easy for anyone to kill anyone else.
It is potentially an extremely hyper-lethal system, which, to be fair, is actually quite realistic when you're waving around katanas, but,
Yeah, the only fight that occurred, I think, was the fight that I accidentally caused.
Yep.
And in that fight, I was basically like, I could use more magic here. I kind of don't think I need to.
Well, because of the way your reveal secret spell worked, you'd already blinded the guy. Which meant the rest of us weren't focused on hurting him. We were just trying to restrain him.
Yeah. I know you were playing the actor/ninja in that game. So do you have any cool moments you liked from it?
As I say, it was very fun. Where at one point I believe my plan was, I had a bit of a role play conversation with the GM about servant to servant, about where would be a good place to go and relax this evening after my master goes to bed. It's been quite a day, and given that this was right after you'd revealed the potential assassin, and we'd had, that stuff, the servants were like, yeah, you should probably try this bar. And the GM was just like, okay, out of character, roughly what are you thinking? I'm going to find the place where all the servants go to get drunk in order to get the gossip out of them, to figure out why the mysterious noble guys in town. He was like, that's actually quite clever. Have a fate point, or whatever they were called in this system. So, I appreciate when I can come up with a reasonably clever idea and get rewarded for it. That's always nice. So yeah, again, I enjoyed this. It's not necessarily a system I would go back to frequently, just because, again, there's a lot of very specific language in it that I think it probably takes a while to learn.
Yeah.
But I think the system mechanics themselves are pretty solid.
Yeah, the system mechanics, I will admit, are fun. I do have a fondness for systems where you're rolling a lot of dice and some of the dice explode. They're fun for con games.
Yeah. There is something just fun, silly, and cathartic about rolling a whole bunch of dice.
Yeah. Because I think just because a bunch of people were doing various help actions towards the end for a final move, somebody for a basic diplomacy check at one point had 20 dice.
Yeah, I think it was something 12 keep 9 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Because it was just okay, how do you help with this? I would like to do this. Okay, excellent. Do you want to help with this? Yes, I will do this. Okay, excellent. You're going to add another die.
And I think the GM also rewarded them just because they gave a very eloquent speech that was quite good role play.
Yep.
So it was a very fun moment generally.
Yeah. So yeah, fun game, enjoyable. I think based on what the GM said, he'll be running this again a future con, this con next year, whatever it was, and he'll basically be doing the next part of the story, and he'll be basing what he writes off what we did in this one.
Yeah, because we answered some questions about it. So yeah, I'll be interested to see where that story goes.
Yeah.
I will say there was a box. He did tell us what was in the box at the end. I appreciated that.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the way we handled the situation, the box didn't get open.
Which was, I think, a smart move on our part.
Yes.
But, of course, you're going to want to know what's in the box, so I appreciate that he did just tell us that.
Yeah.
I did not have to beg for information.
Yeah. So, yeah. So then, once again, we had a little bit of a break. We briefly went upstairs.
Yep.
Cheerleader convention was in full swing.
Yeah, there were so many freaking cheerleaders. Yeah. I was trying to find a bathroom. Going to the bathroom in that particular dress is...
An effort?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard somebody was asking today if I needed any help in this dress, I think. And I didn't hear what you said at the table as I was walking away. I just said no, and I heard you.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, this is low-key compared to what she was wearing.
Yeah, I'm like, this is freaking easy.
Put it this way. The GM at the table this morning pulled out a phone and was showing a picture she took of you yesterday to that guy. He was like, yeah, this is what she was wearing yesterday. She's fine today. Yeah, the guy was very impressed.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we very quickly realized we weren't going to be able to get into the convention center proper at all. Because we do frequently like to just walk up and down that center. But no. Not worth trying to fight the massive crowds of cheerleaders and cheerleader parents. Because when we say cheerleaders, like, most of them were somewhere between the ages of what, like 5 and maybe 15?
Yeah.
Because I appreciate that at this point, cheerleader competitions are basically just athletics.
Yeah. And I know that there's always been... Generally, I've mentioned this at cons, when cons are sharing spaces with our event, there's some sort of antagonism. I will admit that about 95% of the time for me, I just think it enriches the con experience and is fun. And in this particular time period, I thought the kids were nice and great and really respectful. So
yeah, again, provided you don't get like groups that actively hate each other for some reason, usually it's just, oh cool, what are you here for? Oh, we're here for this. What are you here for? We're here for this. Nice. Or you just get moments where you're walking through a corridor and there's a whole bunch of kids looking at you going, Mommy, there's a princess.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people who took photos with you.
Yeah, that happened a little bit later. So yeah, we did that. We tried to find a bathroom for a while. I will say the dress is so big that, like, I generally need the stall next to the stall I'm trying to use to also be open, just so I'm not, like, interrupting somebody else when they're trying to do stuff. So nothing was really working at that moment. So yeah, I think eventually I sat back down at the next table. And again, by this point we had realized we could just like leave our stuff in the matinee Avengers room and somebody would be around to like watch it.
Yep.
So
yeah, I believe we were with the same GM effectively back to back at the time, weren't we? Yep, because they were running the next game.
Yes, which was I sat at the table.
Yep.
You went to get food, I think, briefly. I also talked to some of the Matinee Adventures people while you were getting food for quite a bit, which was actually, frankly, nice, just about various conventions and things and origins and stuff like that. There was still some crossover between this con and MarCon. I know a lot of people who attend this con go to MarCon or went to MarCon, RIP, a little bit afterwards. And I know they have some crossover paneling that used to have been paneling for MarCon. I did hear more rumors about why it shut down, which I think you might have overheard some of those too.
I wasn't there for that part of the conversation.
Okay. I thought you were there for the second part, but whatever. Like,
I might have been distracted with my burger.
I mean, some people were claiming that it was the result of some stuff being mismanaged by certain people. I'm obviously not going to repeat any of their names. That's possible. I also just think it was a con that was struggling with numbers, so I don't really know. And that's the level of reporting I'm going to do on that because I don't have any more information verified. If you worked with MarCon and would like to give us an interview, I'd be happy to talk about it. I know there's not likely a realm of possibility in which MarCon would restart ever, but if there's any realm of possibility, we would definitely support it in any way we could.
Yeah.
That said, we don't have any money.
Or, like, enough followers to actually guarantee people would turn up. But,
well, I could probably, us reporting on the podcast could probably get approximately like 3 people turning up if we encourage them a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe 5.
Maybe 5.
Which is not nothing, but well, you probably need more than 5 guaranteed people at your con to run a con.
Yeah.
That's more of just like hanging out at that point.
Yeah. So yeah.
So we did that. We talked a little bit about Origins. I'm not going to go into any of the Origins drama this episode because there's a lot of stuff we already have in Origins drama. And it's not an Origins drama episode.
Nope.
We also just talked about random other stuff like running RPGs. And then I think you came back?
Yep. Yeah. Again, as per usual, took a little while to get my burger, but I don't honestly mind that because that means they're actually cooking it.
Yep.
So, came back, I was eating, and then we had our next game.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was a Stargate-themed game.
Mm-hmm.
Using the, I believe it's 2D20 Hack, which is Mephidius, which is the company that publishes Star Trek Adventures, has put out effectively, and apparently they did this very recently, effectively a fluff-free rule set for basically how to use their 2D20 dice system, which they use in Star Trek Adventures.
I'm so annoyed at how much better you are describing this than you were the Little Fears system. Love you.
Love you too. To basically run whatever world you want to run in it. So this was somebody who was using it to run a Stargate game. That's cool. I'm familiar with the system. I've run Star Trek Adventures in the past. I have a plan to maybe at some point in the future, if I can find the right con for it, etc., 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 run a game based on Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, using that system. And I've recently been making the characters for that because it felt appropriate thematically. And in terms of a system, it's quite simple. It's basically there are a bunch of different stats, a bunch of different training things. The stats are going to be between theoretically 0 and 12, and the trainings are between 0 and 5. For any roll, you combine a stat and a training, and whatever that combined number is, you roll 2d20 and you're trying to get below it.
Yep.
For each die that is below it, that's a success. If you get a 1, that's 2 successes.
Love you.
Love you too.
No, I thought you did a good job explaining the system.
Thank you. Why were you hitting your head?
It's mostly just because I wanted to talk about something else and was getting impatient.
Fair.
But I'm also a little bit impatient generally. I don't know if you noticed that. So.
You have your moments.
I will admit I was a little bit nervous when we sat down at the table because you apparently thought I knew anything about Stargate, literally anything other than the name, and I didn't. I got these tickets for you because I knew you liked it.
Yes, I'm sorry. If I'd known you knew literally nothing, I would have explained at least what the Stargate is to you.
Yeah, I had to ask that within the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yes, I am very sorry. Again, if I realized you knew that little, I would have explained at least that much to you. Yeah. I would have given you the extreme basic overview.
Yeah. And I was a little bit nervous when we started because I didn't know that Stargate was military themed. I don't tend to like military themed, and I was also the only girl at the table, and generally that's not a good recipe for a game that I'm going to enjoy. That said, I did enjoy this one quite a bit, way more than I expected I was going to.
Mm-hmm.
I expected I was just going to take a back seat and let you guys do stuff, but I actually had a lot of fun with this.
Yep. Again, this was another one of those games that, because it was set in a universe I know pretty well, when he mentioned, you go through the gate, you encounter this group of people, I'd this is a group of people who turned up in 2 episodes, and I'm like, them? The hell are they doing here? That's really weird. And of course, you had no idea who they were, but of course you wouldn't. But, and then later there's a thing that's turned up, and I'm like, wait a goddamn minute, is this who I think it is? Oh, God. And again, another relatively obscure Stargate villain, but I had fun.
Yeah.
Because I freely admit I like those moments. It's okay, hang on, what my character like?
Honey, you like being a nerd. You like being the only person at the table that figured out the mystery because you know the show so well.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry that I enjoy those moments a lot. But it did let me go, would my character have read the mission report of this episode? And he's like, oh yeah. Okay then. Good, I can use my out-of-character knowledge to stop us doing something bad. But no, I enjoyed this.
Yeah, and I will say, as somebody who know nothing about the show at all, I was able to get onto the plot pretty quick. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, ooh, because my character was basically the ambassador for their people, so I got to do a lot of the speaking for this, which I thought the GM seemed to like it a lot.
Oh yeah, he was very impressed with you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I got to do basically my job in a way that's actually fun. Mm-hmm. It's honestly not actually fun for me as an ethics professor to talk about ethics most of the time because it's a Don Kruger effect field, and it's a field that also deals with a lot of actual real world implications that are unpleasant if you get stuff wrong. But this was fun because I got to role play ethics in a way that I really didn't get to do, where I could see the different aspects of it and be able to be a cultural ambassador in a way that was really, really fun. Mm-hmm. And I got to I didn't actually get to self-sacrifice my character, but I got to RP a really cool moment where I thought about doing it. So much the GM put an extra roll or momentum point in for just for me doing that. And had we gotten to a final combat with them, I probably would have self-sacrificed my character at that point because it made sense narratively.
Yeah.
But apparently we found the one of 5 solutions that didn't actually end with combat.
That didn't involve anybody getting shot.
Yeah.
So we were clearly on a slightly lower budget episode.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, I hope the other 2 people at our table who I think were more interested in combat mechanics still had fun, because there wasn't a lot of combat in this campaign.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely both... They picked the shooty characters.
Yeah.
I picked the tech nerd.
Mm-hmm.
You picked the cultural ambassador, which hilariously meant we didn't actually have either of the 2 nominal party leaders.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know enough about the show to want to be a party leader, and I figured if I was a cultural ambassador, me not knowing about Stargate would be more common, would make more sense, so...
Yep.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. I liked the story, I liked the debates we got into, I liked actually being able to roleplay with you in, a serious capacity in a way that we don't normally get to.
Mm-hmm. We get to do it sometimes, but it's not as frequent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you enjoyed this more than you thought you would.
Yeah, I did.
Unlike with the Warehouse 13 game, I don't think this is going to encourage you to watch Stargate.
No, I don't really. A military-themed sci-fi show is not something I want to watch.
Which is fair.
And I want to say I do respect people who enjoy military-themed stuff. It's just not to my taste generally. I don't like it. And in fairness, all the people I know who are actually in the military recognize that the military is very good for some people in terms of its structure and not great for other people.
Yeah.
And I'm just one of those people for who it's really not great for in any capacity. Yeah. So I don't tend to like it much.
Yeah.
I'm kind of anti-authoritarian. And by kind of, I mean extremely.
I mean, I am actively rewatching Stargate Atlantis at the moment, on and off. So,
But I also just knew it's how you and Jake became friends, which is why I think I was surprised it was military, is because you and Jake are just
we were teenage boys at the time.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we were just because after this I had to have a conversation with you about what was and wasn't obscure sci-fi, because you're like, really? You haven't even seen the movie? And I'm like, what? They had a movie?
Okay, comment section. I know you're not normally that active, but for the love of God, can somebody please tell me that Stargate is not obscure?
They had a movie? When did the movie come out?
It's the movie that Roland Emmerich made before Independence Day.
I didn't... Roland Emmerich wasn't popular before Independence Day. At all. At all.
So anyway...
I can't even say that gesture on camera.
No, you can't. It's got Kurt Russell in it. There we go. And James Spader.
Who the fuck is that? Oops, I've cursed.
You get exactly 1 F-bomb an episode, and you know that.
Yeah, well, it's late enough in the podcast that no one's going to pick it up.
Okay. So anywho, yeah. I had a lot of fun at this game as a Stargate fan. You had a lot of fun at this game despite not knowing literally anything about Stargate.
Which I think is a sign it's a good story.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
If somebody who's programmed to not like pretty much all aspects of this game came away liking it a lot, it's a good story.
Yeah.
And a good GM.
Again, you'd like Weir as a character in Atlantis, because she also is not that trusting in the military.
Yeah.
So yeah. So again, at that point, we took another break, and this was a longer break. Because one of the things that Buckeye does do is its charity raffle. And the drawing for the raffle was at 7 p.m. on Saturday. So they explicitly said, please don't schedule anything at 7 p.m. or if you're in the middle of something, take a break. Which basically meant most of the RPGs were starting at 8.
Yeah, well, I think one started at 6 and one started at 8. Just because of where the charity raffle was. I don't know if the other group who was in the room played through the charity raffle or not, because there was another Star Wars game that was starting at 6.
Paused.
Yeah.
They explicitly said they were going to pause for the charity raffle because if you won one of the big ticket items that they drew live, you had to be there to claim it.
Yeah, they did want you picking up your stuff extraordinarily quickly, which I do get, just because they want to make sure you pick it up.
Yeah. But again, they were more efficient this year than last year, and I think that was at least in part because of the, rather than having to check tickets, they just had to check badge numbers because you stamped your badge number onto the ticket.
Yeah.
So I suspect that was a thing that helped speed it up and smooth it out. That was a good call.
Yeah.
Again, if you're going to steal an idea, steal that idea. We're telling the furries about this one.
Yeah. And yeah, I do get that they want the raffle stuff to be picked up then, because like not a lot of Sundays, frankly, are a much quieter day to come than Saturday is. You want to do it on Saturday when there's people there to actually pick up stuff, especially if we need to be present to like win.
Yeah, I believe you had until was it 9:30 or was it 10?
So you want to do it at a time where there's people still there, and you don't want to like do it ridiculously late. You want to do it on Saturday, and you want to also have it be late enough on Saturday that people have time to put in tickets.
Yeah.
So I get that it's kind of a complex calculation generally.
Yeah. It mostly just meant that the start time for our last game of the day was 8 rather than 7, which did mean theoretically it was running till midnight.
Yeah. My honest just recommendation is just instead of like recommending that games pause or don't start until later, would just be like, because you have all the tickets posted anyway, I think, except for the big ticket items. It's just like post all the tickets on the board and just have a 30-minute time slot in which people can claim them. And most GMs can just take a 5-minute break, and it doesn't really take that long to look at the ticket board and see if your number's on it or not.
I think it's at least in part the drama of the big ticket items getting drawn live is fun.
It is fun.
Like I think it is kind of worth that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Pros and cons.
Yeah, I do get that there's kind of trade-offs on this, and it is hard for RP games generally.
So last game of the day. This was one you really wanted to try.
Yeah.
And we freely met. We went into this one knowing that we were kind of tired and weren't sure if we were going to make it through the whole thing. We warned the GM that
and the GM, I think, modified it because it was mostly Matinee Ventures people and the Conjure again.
Yep.
We're playing. Players. So yeah, and we're like, look, we probably can't do past 11. We're both still recovering from illness and massive house tree collapse, and we're still a little bit worried about like the pets being at home for too long. And they were really respectful of that.
Extremely respectful and understanding.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I do feel bad that we played in both of these GM's late night games, and one of which we had to leave early because of an act beyond our control, and the other one we already knew we probably couldn't make it till the end of, even if that hadn't happened, just because of how late it was.
Yeah. Like I caffeinated basically right before this game started.
Yeah.
But this game was a lot better than I was expecting. Like once again, I went into this knowing almost absolutely nothing. I don't know how much you knew before we went in. I
knew it was going to be like borrowers themed based on the description. I will say this was a description. You know what? Yeah, I'll just say the GM did say that they used AI to help write the description, which I don't necessarily think that in and of itself is an unethical use of AI. I will say that I did not find the description of this particularly helpful, so I might encourage you, if you're going to use AI, maybe do a little bit more redrafts of this one.
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit confusing what it was.
Yeah, I freely admit, one of the things this isn't a problem with this group specifically. This is just, generally speaking, I think it's probably just because tabletop events gives you a limited word count.
Yeah.
Very, very, very frequently, like this happens at almost every con we go to, the descriptions of what's to expect in a game can be a little vague.
Yeah.
I try to be a bit more descriptive personally. And I know a Catacon in particular likes you to give, they have recommendations of stuff you should include in your descriptions, and I think those are good recommendations.
Yeah,
of
I want to know
heavy are you
how RP heavy is character death a thing in this game? How dark is it? Is it horror themed? All of those are questions I really like to have answered in RPG events. And not a criticism of any of the GMs this weekend. It's just it's hard to get that much information in there at a tiny box, but. This was about what I expected it to be, if I'm honest. I thought it was going to be borrowers or littles themed, where you're playing basically tiny characters living in a house, and that was pretty much exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think we expected it to be quite as adorable as it was.
It was very adorable.
The art in this game was absolutely phenomenally gorgeous,
yes.
And we bought it.
Yes.
Insofar as when we were heading about to head out for the evening after the game was done, I asked the GM if he was going to be around today. He said, yes, absolutely. I said, is there any chance you can let me borrow the book for 5 minutes so I can have a flick through because I'm contemplating buying it? He was like, absolutely. This
one number of things happened to endear me immediately. One is there's a bunch of different littles that live in the house effectively. Of different species.
Four different tribes, effectively. Living in an abandoned house. And when we say littles, we mean they're about,
yeah, so fairies, borrower-esque elf-like creatures, but all things that are an inch tall or so.
Yeah.
Although I will say their size is a little bit vague, and I think that's fine.
That's completely fine. You can get a sense of it, and that's kind of all you need.
Yeah.
But it does mean that like most of the enemies are like insects and bugs and that kind of stuff. But the arch, like at one point in the past, the house was attacked by a dragon. The dragon was a swan.
I immediately loved that game from that moment on.
Yeah.
And then the character I wound up playing was a fairy shepherd who had a pet bumblebee
Called Bonbon.
Called Bonbon. And the second he had that character, I adored the art from the second. I want to cosplay as that thing. It's so cute.
Yeah. The bee or the
shepherd, I would have a stuffed bee that I would carry around. And just smears and stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, like there's a reason why I was pretty sure last night I would end up ordering a copy.
Yep.
I wanted to have a quick look through the book just to see what the character creation looked like. But yeah, there's a pretty decent chance I'm going to end up running this at a con at some point in the future.
Yeah, and this is another simple dice system. Insofar as you have, what you're trying to do in this game is get D6 system again, but you're trying to get matching die. Yep. And anytime you get a matching die, there's a success, and obviously the more die you roll, the more likely you are of success.
Yep.
One thing I found interesting about it is they have categories for each of the mechanics. So I think they have social, academic, war, and I don't remember the last one. Street, yes. And they have sub things under it like charm and eloquence, but you can roll combinations from either of those two groups. So you could have, even though like care is under academia, you could have a care war roll, which is interesting. So you can combine different stats together.
Yeah.
And generally the fewest die you're rolling is, well, in your case too, I think the fewest I could roll mechanically was 1.
That should be impossible, I think, because
the fewest I could roll mechanically was 3, not 2. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think just because how the stats balanced.
Yeah.
You couldn't just roll 1 die, obviously, though, because you're trying to find a matching pair. The most I think anyone could roll was 5, at least at the current level we're at. Yeah. And you try to find matching pairs. The more matching pairs you have, or if you have triples of a kind, it's a success. But matching 1s are the exact same as matching 6s. So yeah. It's a cute system.
Yeah. And if you had 2 1s and 2 6s, you've got 2 pairs.
Yep.
So that's there's a lot of poker terminology within it. So you have quote unquote aces up your sleeve, which is when you start, which basically lets you do re-rolls and stuff like that, or add an extra dice to the pool. Which is very fun.
Yeah. A little less roleplay this game. There was still some good roleplay. Just everyone was definitely a little sleepy at this point. So
I was on point.
You were on point because you were playing posh a-hole. So
yes, a thing I'm very good at.
Thank you very much. Picked your character this time because everyone else had gone around and picked their character. I think there were 3 left at this point. And you're like, what should I choose? And I'm like, because I know you were trying to decide if you're going to play against type or not. And I'm like, you're just going to get RP tokens for playing this character automatically because every time you do this, you get RP tokens for playing this character automatically because of your voice.
Yeah.
You were also very good at it, I'm going to say. You say good lines, but the voice just elevates them.
Yeah. Again, playing the pompous character who has a walking toothpick and a very superior attitude.
Yep.
He was worthless in combat. But the GM was very impressed that I kept finding ways to make him do useful things in combat, which mostly amounted to either taunting the enemy or,
encouraging sarcastically our allies.
Yes. Hey, I talked our way through those bandits.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, this was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I had 0 expectations going into this game. I was kind of expecting to be a little bit checked out throughout it just because I was very tired.
Mm-hmm.
I had a blast with it. I really did.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to have more fun with this one than I did. Not that I also didn't have fun. I think I was just a little bit more tired.
Yeah, I think the tired was definitely hitting you a little bit more. It's probably because that was the point at which I recaffeinated.
Oh, yeah. I generally don't do caffeine that late.
Yeah, your normal cutoff's what, about 6-ish?
Yeah, that's it. The character I want to play and I love, I want to play that character more. She is so cute. So yeah, this game is so cute.
Yep.
And it also has a great swan attack, generally. Yeah, also, you have to promise me if we play this and run it, the swan survives in any iteration where the swan appears, okay?
Okay. Did you see the art showing how small you guys are compared to the swan.
Yes.
If the swan turns up, you can't do anything about it other than run and hide.
Well, they defeated the swan before, because I thought that led to, like, the truce between the nations.
I think they successfully, like, drove it off.
Yes.
But they did not, like... I don't think they successfully slew the swan.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to read the lore, which I haven't had time to do yet. But the artwork of the swan attack is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's very clear the people who made it adored like just the ideas. You know, like there are so many things in it that are just really aggressively weapons grade cute.
Yep.
And sometimes that's just immense fun to play with.
Yeah, it's cute, but it also draws that line. It's very much like the Redwall books, if you ever read those. Like, it's cute, but there's levels of RP in it that also make it more serious and fun.
Yeah. Like, again, it was scratching a bunch of my, like, I'm a big fan of the BBC's Musketeers series, which I think is superior to the book, at least in part because none of the characters are rapists, unlike in the book. Yeah. The book's kind of problematic, but it's very of its era.
Where was this going?
This was scratching the same itch.
Okay.
Like, it's got that kind of vibe of, like, swashbuckling heroes.
Yeah. It's very fun. I'm excited to get the book.
Yep. Should be turning up in a couple of days.
So, yep, after that we went home and recorded the podcast. I want to, again, apologize for the lack of coherency in that part of the podcast. We're back in our A game today. At least I think we are.
It's a B+ game. So, yeah. So, the next day...
We only had one game planned. Oh, we did see... I'm just going to call them, because we have not gotten their permission to say their names yet. I'm going to call them American Weevil.
That's their
cosplay name. We did see them and talk to them a bit while we were waiting for the auction raffle drawing, and made plans to have kind of a late lunch with them today.
Yeah.
Their names are not actually American Weevil, and they weren't actually in costume for this con, but I have permission to use their actual names, so that's what we're calling them.
To be fair, it was kind of weird. I got to see Merrick with, like, normal-sized hair.
Yeah.
Again, Merrick is a character from Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you've seen this person's cosplay, you'll understand why it's kind of weird to see them with normal hair.
Goose date.
Goose date. So, yeah. So, we didn't have to be in until 11 today.
Which was nice.
Nice, because it meant we could, like, get up at a slightly saner time. You know, our internet was actually working last night.
Somehow.
Nice.
Despite the fact there's a tree on the line still.
There's a tree on that line, but, you know, again, it's the second time, and that thing's still working.
Yeah. Hopefully it's still working after Will carved a tunnel for us.
Yeah, we'll see.
Again, I probably should have said his name on the podcast, but whatever, he doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, it's fine. Again, he shouldn't have gone anywhere near that, as far as I know, so...
Yeah.
Because, yes. So got up slightly later. What are you wearing today?
I'm wearing a new dress that I got back from the tailor. This is a Monet-inspired dress. It's just a kind of blue dress with water lilies on it. So, and I'm wearing a gray wig.
Yeah, it's very, very pretty. Oh. But it's a lot easier to maneuver than the one you're wearing yesterday.
Yes.
Again, this is a low-key ball gown.
Yes.
Ball gown, honestly. But yeah, so...
We actually got to the gate there early.
Yep.
Finally.
Yes.
Because the game was at 11.
Yeah, once again, parking being $30 is nonsense.
Yep. We got there. I did make a promise to myself because there was this cute rainbow kitty in the gift shop that they had there. And I promised myself if none of the cheerleader children had taken it by Sunday that I would adopt it. I didn't tell you any of this.
I mean, you kept mentioning it throughout the weekend.
Yeah, and then I caved on Sunday because it's a rainbow kitty with matched color eyes. It's my vibes.
Yeah.
So I named it Chilandra after the character in the game. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I might be pronouncing it wrong. If I am, sorry. And that's a character name. So
yeah.
So this was a game that I think we and other people kept getting mixed up with X-Crawl, which is a type of dungeon crawler classics game because it's called Extreme and it just uses an X.
Yeah, I think that was mostly just that. If you actually pay attention, you realize that those are two like different titles.
Yeah.
It's just we played X-Crawl here last year, so I think we assumed it was probably the same thing.
We were not the only people who were making that mistake. I heard other people also making it. So I do know that this is a game that's still in playtest that the GM wants to publish shortly.
Yep.
One thing I might advise is maybe changing the title to something that's not Extreme with an X, because that is probably going to confuse people with X-Crawl.
Maybe.
So.
Maybe? I don't know.
Multiple people were confused, including other people at the table, okay?
Okay, fair enough. But, like, again.
Like, that's a very minor thing that I might recommend. That said, if you trademark the name already, I get it. So.
Again, you should be fine.
Yeah.
Like.
So, yeah, this was an interesting system insofar as it's very, very role-play heavy. It's very clearly a game that the GM has been playing with their friends for a while, most of whom are part of the Matinee Adventures crew a lot of the time. And all the decisions are decided by a magic 8-ball.
That's not a joke. That's the actual thing. Like, they just handed out boxes with magic 8-balls in.
Which is interesting, because if you've ever, like, if you know what's actually inside a magic 8-ball, the, like, thing that has the answers on it is effectively a dice.
Yeah.
Like, it is a dice that you just shake up in liquid, and then it displays a result to you. Yeah. So, I do think the GM mentioned they were planning to get actual dice for when the game hopefully goes live.
Yeah, I think they basically said they're going to do a conversion table so you can roll a d20 and it'll tell you what they mean.
Yeah.
But if you happen to want, if you have a Magic 8-ball and want to play it with a Magic 8-ball, you will absolutely be able to.
Yeah. So I don't think any of us had any idea what to expect with this one either, pretty much at all.
Not a clue.
Yeah. I knew it was going to be roleplay heavy, which ticks my boxes.
Yep.
Tone, even I think when we were sitting down at the table, was a little bit hard for me to grasp at first.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the characters, because they were all created by their friends, were very different in terms of tone.
Yeah, they were all over the map in all sorts of interesting ways.
Yeah, all of them were basically, fantasy, fae type creatures. So, like, demons. I think I was a fairy.
I was an angel.
Angels, like, stuff like that. All fairy creatures that basically just had powers that had been adopted from their friends, basically.
Yep. Yeah, basically various... their various friends had made characters.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of potential characters. I looked at the second one in the pile and went, dibs.
Yep. You love angels and armors with wings that are redheads.
It's my vibe.
Yeah, those are your boxes. I was a chaotic fairy, which is my vibe.
Yep.
So yeah, I was choosing between that and the one with the unicorn, but chaotic fairy was the one I was leaning towards anyway, and I had you pick for me.
Yeah, and I was just like, yeah, this is just your vibe. Go with it. You'll have fun. Like, you would have also had fun with the one with the unicorn. I want to specify that.
Well, it was interesting because your sheet had mostly, like, serious character information on it, and mine was, like, glitter. So... So it was interesting. I do think it took us, like, a couple, like, moments to get the tone down of how to balance the silly and seriousness. And this game also had a really, like, deep lore that you were just kind of dropped into.
Yes. Which I think is part of the fact that it's, to a certain extent, an ongoing thing.
Yeah. And I do actually like that. Like, I can tell the love that various friends have brought to this over the years and how it's, like, become this, like, years-long kind of campaign between a very large group of people. Like, the heart is there in a very deep way that I like a lot.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I'd maybe recommend is, like, maybe a quick... Actually, she did have a little lore primer. Mm-hmm. You might need to expand that just a little bit for, the new people. Like,
yeah.
But it says something that the person across the table from us who played it the day before, slightly separate adventure, but, within the same world, it was actually effectively the prequel to the one we were doing today, was very into it and, like, knew what they were doing. And, like, so I think it is very much a case of once you've played an adventure or two in it, you definitely get it. It was definitely taking us a little while to, like, get the vibe and get the tone, and then I was...
Yeah. And I think it was wise of us to play characters that are very much our type. Like, if we were playing characters that were a little bit against our type, I just think it would have been harder. Like, the beats of my character I just knew. I've played that type of character a dozen times at this point, if not more.
And once I realized that my character was a little on the arrogant side, I dialed it up.
Yep.
Right down to the fact that, like, they have an apprentice. I kept forgetting what the apprentice's name was, and I just rolled with that in character that she literally, was like, apprentice? I was like, you're not going to call her by her name? Maybe when she's earned it. It's like, okay,
yep.
I can work with that.
So yeah, the 8-ball is something, it's what it sounds like. I don't think, like, because it's so RP focused, you only really use it in moments where you're trying to, like, use an ability in a new or different way for the most part.
Yeah.
Other than that, you just kind of describe what's happening a lot of the times. And I do think this did a very good job of mixing serious and silly role play in a really interesting and fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And the world felt very vivid and real.
Again, my only personal criticism is I was quite interested in the extreme world, so I would have liked to spend a little bit more time there before we went over into the human world.
Yeah.
but that's most... The fact that I'm basically saying I wanted to know more about your lore and explore your world more, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And I am interested to see, because this is very much a, game that has been played and loved a lot by a lot of people, how that's going to translate into it being an adventure for new people if they're planning on publishing it. Yeah. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. I'm sure it'll be very, very cool, but the characters and the lore are very deep. I love the touches, and I really liked, because obviously with role-play heavy games, there's this question of, how does action economy progress, and how do you, quote-unquote, level up? And I think the GM is very, very good at making RP moments your ability to level up by just gaining new abilities naturally as the story progresses. Mm-hmm. Or if you just drink a pool of chaos for funds.
I mean, to be fair, doing something that stupid on purpose that's RP.
Yep. I just hope something interesting happens with my child in that game.
Yep.
I left that in there because it was fun.
Yeah.
So I like this. I like the game a lot. I love the characters. All of them are very, very vivid and clearly loved by somebody in a way that was really interesting and fun. And yeah. Apparently my character has been on a lot of adventures, but it was the first time that my character was played by somebody who wasn't the person who created them, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
Same with a couple other people at the table, but everyone at the table had some really good RP moments, which I liked a lot. Yeah. Also, randomly, one of the people at the game, I think, was just the waiter that they met from the place where they were getting dinner the night before, which is awesome.
I think they said it was on Thursday or Friday night, but yeah.
Just because they talked him into coming.
Yep.
I love that magnetism. So yeah.
I think that guy brought a Sunday badge.
Yeah. I really... Sorry, go ahead.
When you went to the bathroom, apparently he'd been contemplating going to a HorrorCon in Cincinnati this weekend, because apparently Elvira's there.
Cool.
But his comment was he doesn't want to meet her until he's finished his Elvira cosplay.
Valid.
Mm-hmm.
So valid.
So there was this wonderful moment where they were offering things that they had to contribute towards this cosplay. It was very aggressively wholesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I really love this GM and their style a lot. So
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. And this is a skill that I'm still trying to develop as a GM, is how to do away with mechanics, as somebody who also doesn't particularly like mechanics and just like role play, and her style at doing that is just great. So yeah, I love this a lot. It ticks all my boxes.
Yeah. So we had time for a nice chat with them, and
yeah.
So at that point we headed over to
they offered to I don't know if I should say it's fine. Yeah. They offered to allow us to be in their game room to run our games at matinee or for Origins. I don't know if that's going to work out logistically. I hope it does, but I understand there's a lot of logistics behind that, both on the Origins and on the matinee adventures, and in terms of when there's tables open when we want to run. Yeah. So we'll see.
We'll see.
But we would love to do that if all the logistics and stuff worked out.
Yeah. But yeah. So at that point we meandered over to see our friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then went and got food with them, and then talked for
3 hours. I think it was 2.5.
Well, our game ended nominally around 3.
And we left around 6. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty normal for us.
Yeah, it's Tempest Fugit and all that.
Yeah, this was American Revel. We also got to watch the children cheerleaders mix with the.
Okay, we have 5 minutes. We need to start.
I need to tell this. It's important.
Okay.
So yeah. The children cheerleaders mixed with a group of children who were, I think, doing a Model UN conference there. Mm-hmm. It was fascinating. They're very different types of children.
Yep.
Both deserve to exist and are lovely, and all children are special snowflakes. Okay, now we can move on.
Top Gun moments, please. Well, actually, technically, we should do what we didn't do.
There's a lot of things we didn't do.
We didn't do the wargaming room.
We didn't do the wargaming room. They did have a con puzzle that I put 2 pieces into. Love the con puzzle.
Yep.
Also, the con puzzle was the appropriate level of difficulty for a con puzzle, which is to say mostly easy.
Yep. There's a whole bunch of different phones.
Yep. Ton of board games that we didn't play. I know there was a Pirate Poker tournament. Pirate Poker is a kind of a spin-off. It's poker, but also a game. Blood on the Clock Tower is just when time to play it. There wasn't enough Blood on the Clock Tower for it to line up with our schedules. I think they were doing 1 game a day in the hallway. They have a board game library that was massive, and I think similar to the one that's going to run at Origins. And as general with the Tabletop Con, there's a lot going on that we did not do. So probably some, I think, Catan tournaments and stuff also.
Yep. So yeah, Top Con moments.
Top Cop moments. I think it's my turn to go first.
I have no idea, so after you.
Little Fears.
Valid.
Amazing fun, great kid RP, great table, perfectly paced game. One of those epic games for me.
Yeah. The moment of what was that system called? The one with the fairies.
You bought the game.
I know, but I've already forgotten what it's called. Home.
You bought the game. This is on you.
I know. Whatever it's called.
I'm not looking it up because you bought the game.
Yeah, I know. Again, the moment when he revealed that the dragon that attacked the house was a swan, and you just squealed.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I guess I'm buying this. Yeah, that was a great moment. I had a blast with that.
And if I have to take a specific moment, I will be the moment where you were about to spit your drink out on my dress because of something somebody said in Little Fears.
Valid.
Okay. I will also just take the game today.
Mm-hmm.
Extreme, or whatever it's called.
Yep.
I just really like this a lot. And I particularly my fairy character giving her baby chaos.
I'm probably going to say like that moment we had during the Stargate game of just like surprisingly deep RP that I didn't think you would get into with that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like again, it's always nice to share that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to just pick talking with friends all weekend because that was really fun though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always a bonus one.
Yeah, it's a bonus one and it's a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of like game moments and stuff like that. It's so hard to choose because I legitimately enjoyed every single game we played this weekend, which high marks on that one.
Yeah, well, I don't think we had a bad game all weekend. Like even the ones we had like
slightly sleepier tables at and stuff like that, which happens.
Like we were tired, or we had to sprint out halfway through because of an emergency. Like
honestly, I'm gonna take playing a rogue because I had way more fun with that than I expected. I don't normally play rogues, and I wish we could have stayed to finish that game.
That's very fair. Again, I also don't normally play like soldiery characters. I tend to find the human fighter kind of boring as a concept.
I think it's mostly rogues are they're very dice reliant, and I do not like dice reliant characters. But I had fun with that one.
Yeah. And yeah, my final one. Trying to think through the various things we've done this weekend. Okay. What did we even do on Friday? My brain is fried.
We did the Traveler game. We did the Hobbit game.
That was on Thursday.
The Hobbit game was on Thursday. I'm doing my best. Little Fears, and the last game we played was the Star Wars game, which I already give a moment from.
Yes.
And then on Saturday, we did. I hate you so much. The
Legend of the Five Rings.
Yeah.
I might actually go with like the moment when your spell just absolutely rolled stupid high.
Yep.
And I could just see the GM have a moment of, well, there goes my plans, because he did freely admit he had a plan.
Yep.
But if we derailed it, we derailed it.
Yep.
That's fine. That's gonna happen sometimes. And I think he did tell us later that you don't normally derail it quite that fast. But he didn't tell us what we did that derailed it. I think it was probably you.
Yeah. I suspected he was making that up when he was doing it. I never got full confirmation that was what he was doing, but it's what he was even at the time. I was like, you're probably making this up just because I rolled stupidly well.
Sometimes the dice tell a story.
Yeah. And I will, of course, I'll be hanging out with friends, and our double bonus will be hanging out with American Weevil, because we haven't really gotten a chance to sit down and talk just one-on-one with them yet, and that was a lot of fun.
It was very nice to just sit down and chat for a while.
Yeah.
Yep, sun just set.
Yay. Okay.
For the record, I can tell because the sat-nav switches into night mode when the sun officially sets. The tree that fell on one of the frat houses is still kind of Yikes.
We still have to do the final analysis.
I know. So, would we go back? Yes.
Yes, I don't think there's a question.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's in Columbus, so it's close and easy for us. And I will admit, obviously, we are RPG players, so we're pretty much exclusively reviewing that aspect of the con. Especially this year, we did, like, nothing else but RP.
Yep.
And this year, we're honestly mostly just reviewing Matinee Adventures.
Sorry, guys. If it helps, we had a very good time.
We did. But that said, hell yes to the con, hell yes to Matinee Adventures, and hell yes to the 2 other GMs who were also fantastic this weekend.
Yep. So, that is pretty much what we have to say about Buckeye GameFest 2026.
Yeah, and I also want to say a special thank you, because this weekend would have been a lot more stressful had we not been doing this particular con.
Yeah. Like, we had a really great time despite all of the BS that's going on at home, so thanks for that, we needed it.
Yeah, and generally BS like this affects the con, but I felt perfectly relaxed at every single table this weekend.
I'm not gonna lie, I was a little punchy yesterday, just, again, like, low-key worried about what else was gonna happen, but you guys were great. Like, I did not feel, like, worried or, like, again, went about, you guys were great. This was exactly what we needed this weekend with, this shenanigans. So
yeah, not that CincyCon was bad, but it was definitely a bit more up-down for me. This was just solidly great the entire time, and it was nice to just kind of, like RPing like this.
Yep.
Okay, that's kind of a path.
That's kind of a path. We might actually be able to get to the front door. Thanks, Will.
Sorry. Maybe we'll put pictures up or something. I don't know.
We probably shouldn't, but,
Yeah, it is a picture of our house. We probably shouldn't put that on the internet.
Yeah. But anyway. Right. So, what are we going to next week?
Next week, I think we just kind of decided this weekend. And a Marathon does not have a schedule up yet, but
we're probably going to do that.
Because American Weevil will be there, and I think likely Bridget and James will also be there. We might coordinate Yu-Gi-Oh costumes depending on what people want to do. We'll see.
We'll see. So yeah. So that's probably just going to be a one-dayer, but I think we need a slightly quieter weekend.
Yep, because we are doing likely we're doing 2 long-distance back-to-back furry cons after that. So,
which we need to figure out a lot of logistics for.
Yeah,
et cetera,
we're supposed to do that this weekend, but the internet was out. It's like a tunnel. It works. Kinda.
Sorta. Not really.
I mean, it also terrifies me that the trees are gonna fall down as we walk under it.
Nah, they're pretty well braced. Okay. So, thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you next week.
Thanks. Hopefully the trees will be removed by then. We will update.
Well, yeah, we'll let you know.
I said there's about a 50% chance that they're actually removed by then.
Who knows?
It depends on it really just depends on if the insurance companies that are going to be fighting over whose responsibility this is are going to decide to remove them first or argue first. I hope they decide to remove them first and then argue about who has to pay after.
We'll see.
Yep.
Okay, all. Bye.
Bye.